Starship Flight 4 is slated for no earlier than June 5th. Starliner is slated for June 1st, and neither of those dates is likely to hold. So let's talk about it on the Flame Trench.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Welcome to the Flame Trench. It's NSF's weekly live show that brings you spicy takes on the week's events in space. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. Thank you all for the 5x5s in chat now and earlier with the intro and hot mic. So I know we're coming through loud and clear. So awesome. Thank you, chat, for doing that. As always, I think I already introduced myself, right? What's going on? As always, we have our standard group of commentators, starting off with... I was going to do Sawyer first, but okay, it's EJ. Hi, EJ.
Hey, how you doing? You can do Sawyer. That's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll be right back. We'll be right back. Starting
Yeah,
with
that's cool.
Sawyer. Sawyer, how you doing, buddy?
Sorry to disrupt you from your reading there. I'm doing pretty good today. There we go. I don't have a book in hand, but boy, do I have a book-long list of things that I want to bring up today, and it is going to be extra spicy, as if we weren't already off the rails to begin with. Just you wait.
Yeah.
Oh, just you wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one this week. EJ, I hate to take you away from your reading, but...
Oh, sorry.
Show started.
What?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, I thought... Oh, all right, cool. Yeah. Sorry. Spicy.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, we're not talking like jalapeno here. We're talking like ghost pepper.
Habaneros.
Nice.
The last dab.
Mucho queso.
Also joining us today is Trevor as well. Trevor, do you exist? Are you there?
I do exist. I am here.
How do you know?
I can prove that I exist, but I can't prove that you guys exist. So maybe you're just a figment of my imagination.
Why would you do that to yourself? To imagine me, of all people?
I don't know.
All right, well, chat, if you have any questions about our topics of discussion, at NASASpaceflight in chat, type that into the chat, and we'll see it pop up in some software that we have running in the background. I see chat is doing its thing, so hooray. Hey, look, it's Sawyer.
Hi, that is me. Yes.
But yeah, let's start off at the top of the list here, and Trevor can tell us about Ariane 6, which has gotten a launch date.
Yeah, I mean, you opened the show by talking about launch dates that probably aren't going to hold, and this is another launch date that's probably not going to be hold. So over the weekend at an air show in Berlin, they announced the tentative date going forward. So the tentative date for the first launch attempt will be given at the upcoming air show, which will be held from June 5th to June 9th. They've completed a number of events going forward. So they have completed some system qualifications reviews, and then all of the payloads arrived in the French Guiana ahead of launch. Obviously, there are some major milestones to go forward. Next month, we're expecting the Ariane 6 launch system qualification review to finish up and close out. And then in June, the upper composite transfer and integration of launcher and integration of the payloads to the launcher in the French Guiana. And then on June the 18th, we're expecting a full wet dress rehearsal. And then after that, hopefully launch. So it sounds like even though the launch date hasn't quite been announced yet, somewhere toward end of June, which I am skeptical of.
Yeah, I mean, new rocket. These things slip. We all know how spaceflight is.
It do be like that.
It do be like that sometimes. I don't know.
Yep.
EJ, you're also expecting a slip based on that comment?
Yeah. New launch vehicle. And yeah, I mean, not to echo Trevor's words, but it's basically spot on. Like, it's a new launch vehicle. You're going to run into teething problems with new spacecraft, as we'll talk about a little bit later. Sawyer, I'm looking at you. This happens. I don't think it's going to stick at all. And that's not like a mark against, like the ESA or Arianespace or something. That's just new launch vehicle stuff. That happens. Stuff's complicated, man.
I mean, if they try and launch it like that first graphic where there was like 60 rockets launching at the same time, obviously it's not going to go. But, I mean, it's been in development for a while. There's been a lot of setbacks, shall we say. Arianespace has had quite the journey to get to this point. So I would not be surprised if it continues to delay a little bit longer. I mean, I'll be honest, July I still think is quite ambitious, and that's saying something given how long this has been in development. But before the end of the year, I'm sure we will see Ariane 6 décollage.
Décollage.
I mean, yeah, if a first flight doesn't go well, or it gets delayed or something like that, that's not necessarily a bad mark. Like Ariane 5's first flight did not go very well. If we're gonna cast our mind back a little ways, didn't go very well. I mean, that's what happens when you just put Ariane 4's avionics on Ariane 5. It should be fine. But does that mean that Ariane 5 didn't end up being one of the most reliable launch vehicles ever? No, it was a pretty good launch vehicle for what it is. That James Webb thing that it did, I'm quite fond of that. Just saying.
Yeah, not bad.
Well, we'll just have to see when they end up announcing the launch date for, and if that holds. But new rocket, hooray! Always good to have more launch vehicles coming online.
More rockets, more better.
More rockets, more better. Agreed. The dish. I don't know. All right. Well, I'm honestly I'm not seeing any Ariane 6 questions in the chat here. So, let's move on.
Turn the page.
Sounds good.
Turn in the old page, and of course, we have to talk about Starliner, which is currently targeting June 1st. We'll see if that holds. But I feel like I'm walking through a factory, like a mousetrap factory, and I'm carrying a box of nitroglycerin, and I'm just trying really hard to not explode, because I know Sawyer and EJ, both of you, have thoughts. So I'm just going to very carefully hand you the box of nitroglycerin and exit the factory, and you can unload. I don't know which of you wants to go first, but let's talk about it.
Sorry, go do it.
That was one of the most complex metaphors I've ever heard. Anyway, so we finally got an update today from the teams with Boeing, NASA, ULA, and the Space Station program and commercial crew and all of them, basically saying that, Starliner is now no earlier than the 1st of June at 12:25 p.m. Eastern Time, so this coming Saturday. They also attempted to apologize for their lack of communication about all of these issues, basically saying that there was a lot of things that happened very quickly, one after the other. Take that as you will. Let's start going through them in that order then, and let you make up your mind beyond there. So, we know about the issue that we had on launch day with the valve that kept opening and closing way too fast on the Centaur upper stage. They replaced it. And that one, they believe, is working fine, good to go. It's got enough life on it, but that's not an issue. While they were doing that, they noticed an issue with the Starliner service module. Now, this is where things get interesting. There was a leak, so we knew about that. It turns out they kind of knew about it too right after the scrub. As they were kind of safing the vehicle and everything afterwards, they noticed that there was a leak of helium in something less than the size of a shirt button, size-wise, and it was leaking about 5 psi, so something that if it got into orbit wouldn't have been too terrible. As they continued to observe it, though, they noticed it grow to anywhere between 50 and 70 psi from 5. A little bit of a jump there. So, needless to say, they were going to look into that, and their conclusion is that it shouldn't be an issue in orbit, that it's not a big deal, but it has to do with the seal itself. Not sure if it's a manufacturing fault, or an installation fault, or if someone accidentally nicked it or bent it, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, it was, the gasket is the size of a shirt button and stack of 10 papers stacked together tall. Now they had another thing that they realized, totally unrelated to that. While they were looking into the systems, they realized that there was a very, very specific situation that if it came to it, then their 3 redundant options that they currently have approved for re-entry would not work. So there are 4 doghouses, so to speak, and each of them has 4 engines underneath it. So you've got the option to use those. Okay, great. That's one option. If 2 of those fail, that's fine. You can use 2, as long as they're opposite each other. If they're next to each other, no go. So at that point, then, you would use the OMS engines, the OAMS engines. You would use 8 of them. And there was a very unique situation that it could be that those engines wouldn't actually be able to be used. So thankfully, since then, they've come up with a solution which would be 2 different burns using 4 of those small OAMS engines, and that would be their backup now. So all of these little things that they found out, they'll be doing what's called a Delta flight readiness review. Basically, they found all these anomalies to go through, make sure they're all fixed in the coming days. I believe the 29th is the date that that's scheduled for, with the launch currently no earlier than the 1st. And again, a reminder, that is a no earlier than, and based off of their findings, could move to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully that made sense to people, and I'm happy to go into details into individual parts of those.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
I'll pull some questions out of chat, but
I have a question for Sawyer, if you don't mind.
It's a long list. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah.
So I saw this quote. So I woke up late and I haven't watched the press conference yet. And I was going to, and then you're like, oh, I'll get this segment. So I was like, I'll ask the question. I saw on X people throwing around this quote from the press conference of something is relatively stable or something along those lines. What was the context of that? And why does that not sound like the best thing?
Say that again one more time, Trevor. What did we hear?
There was a quote that I saw on Twitter from the press conference of some valves or something being relatively stable.
I don't remember the context of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, dude, that press conference was pretty long. There was a lot. I listened to the whole thing. Guys, I think, Trevor, I'm not exactly sure what the context of that question is, but let me, I guess I can run people through. So, I mean, Kevin, can you bring up that picture of the thruster block that the doghouse covers up? There we go, my guy. Thank you. So, see all those wiry bits up there? That's the part where that's the area where they found a leak. All right. Now, guys, here's the thing. This sounds all right. brace ourselves. This sounds like, oh my gosh, it's got a leak. It's got a leak on it. We're so screwed. This capsule's cursed. Blah blah blah. You know, I'll be honest. I don't think that this is that high of a risk in this isolated failure mode. As Sawyer was saying a second ago, you know, that Delta review is going to review different contingencies for if they do have other leaks with the thrusters. But, you know, you can tell from all those wires right there, like I won't get too much into detail here. From all those wires right there, it's very clear that they can individually pressurize lines. They can individually pressurize helium going to each one of these thrusters. Now, okay, so how does that work? So the helium is what the fuel delivery valve actuation is actually moved by, right? So these thrusters are monomethylhydrazine nitrogen tetroxide. They're hypergolic propellants. When they hit each other, they explode. That's hypergolic. Every spacecraft that I know of uses something similar to this or some type of hypergolic system. Now, why do we use this? Why do they use this? They use this kind of stuff because it's very stable. It doesn't decompose. It's very stable on orbit. You can leave it up there. You don't have to worry about boil off. You don't have to worry about decomposition. It's basically just some crazy volatile chemical that we came up with that when it hits when MMH hits NTO, it explodes. So here's the thing to know about hypergolic systems. Monomethylhydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide are not good for you. Very, very bad. So in order to understand the context, kind of what I'm talking about, it's important to understand that those propellants are not something that you can just go like mess around with when Starliner is sitting on the pad or sitting in the vertical integration facility, right?
Yeah, do not breathe the spicy orange cloud. That is
the spicy orange is very bad for you.
Yes.
So just remember that. Log that up here in EJ's rant information, okay? So, all right. As Sawyer was saying a little bit earlier, when they were safing the capsule, they were shutting down individual pressurizations to the helium. Now, that helium goes to these valves, and the heliums, they're pneumatic solenoids. So when the line's pressurized, it opens up the solenoids, and the thruster goes off. You want those ready to go during a launch because, you know, you need your thrusters for when you get on orbit. It's an 8-minute ride up where you're not going to need the thrusters, and then you're pretty much going to need them right after that. Probably be better to make sure they're ready. So the thrusters were ready to go. They were pressurized and ready to go for launch because we were relatively close to a launch when it scrubbed out because of that chattering valve on Centaur, right? So we know that they can individually shut off each thruster, the pressurization of each thruster, because they were able. That's how they found the leak in the first place. They verified that one flange, that button-sized flange, or that little tiny flange with a button-sized O-ring inside of it, is actually causing a little bit of a leak. And when they, pressurized and depressurized the line really, really fast, the leak got up to 70 psi. That's not an insignificant amount, but it's not that big of a deal because they can individually pressurize valves. That's why they have contingency procedures where they'll just use another valve. Now, here's the thing. My whole thing here is that I think, honestly, so NASA's conclusion here was to launch this with the leak. Launch it with the leak. It's not a big deal. It's a really low-risk failure mode. They did discuss contingencies just in case something happens during ascent, but this is a very low-risk failure mode because they verified and they understand what that valve is doing. Okay, now, this is going to be a little backwards, right? This sounds a little bit weird, right? But it's an entirely holistic view as to how NASA goes about troubleshooting fault tolerance and coming up with solutions to things, NASA and Boeing. And I think it's really brilliant. It's a really smart thing. So at face value, you'd want to be like, why don't they just replace this? Why don't they just replace this? Well, in order to do that, you'd have to destack Starliner. You'd have to send it back to a special fueling and processing facility, right? Because those propellants are toxic. You don't want to mess with a hot system, as Steve Stitch said in the press conference earlier today. You don't want to mess with a hot system, especially a hot system with propellants that if you inhale, you will be not alive very quickly. So it's actually less risk adverse to launch with a well understood leak than it is to take this capsule, destack it, defuel it, send it back to processing, replace the valve, refuel the thing, put it back on Atlas V and go. that is actually more risky because, remember, this is a crew flight test. The most important thing is to get a baseline that is going to represent what an ideal Starliner mission with no bumps in the road does in the future, right? Now, the helium leak is a bump in the road, but most Starliner missions in the future aren't going to get to the pad, get ready to go, and then go back to processing, get taken apart, and then get put back on the pad again. That's not representing kind of an ideal baseline. It's actually less risk adverse. It is safer to deal with that leak that you understand than it is to go monkeying around with the capsule and take everything apart and put it back together and then try to send it again. Not to mention that would take an incredible amount of time. So basically the gist of that entire press conference was that NASA knows and they understand the leak and they can isolate valves. So they're going to deal with it. And honestly, had it not been for that chattering valve, they probably would have launched it anyway. Then they would have found the leak on orbit and dealt with it there. Starliner has many redundant thrusters. The thrusters, I mean, Sawyer, double check me on this. Those thrusters are borrowed from the shuttle. They're the same design as the shuttle's RCS, right? They're borrowing from the OMS pods, the Stingers.
Right.
So these valves these engines are very well understood, and the leak is well understood. And honestly, sometimes understanding this leak is the safest way to go. Sawyer?
And the one thing they pointed out, speaking of shuttle heritage and Mark Bago cards, is
Ding.
you have Steve Stitch who worked with the shuttle program. You've got people that were on shuttle program that were like, yeah, we launched with leaks before and we knew them and we understood them with people on board and it was fine. So you're talking about, as he mentioned, really tiny molecules. In this case, helium. They also dealt with really tiny molecules with shuttle with hydrogen. Same type of deal, hydrogen leaks. They happen. It's just a matter of, is it so large that it's catastrophic? In this case, absolutely not. So now the biggest solution with this, the biggest change that we're going to mainly see on this flight is instead of using all 28 OAMS thrusters on it, they're now only going to use 27.
Exactly. Because the 27 other ones work just fine, right? Yeah, how dare they? Exactly.
Well, that makes sense. I thought this was going to be a lot spicier than it was. This is less like a box of nitroglycerin in a mousetrap factory and more like a...
Yeah, to be honest, I think, it's easy to dump on Starliner. And Boeing certainly isn't at fault. Didn't they say that they were gonna have Starliner ready 6 years ago or something?
Yes.
I'm not saying they're above, ain't above criticism here, right? But honestly, this helium leak, I don't think it's as big a problem as it seems to be because it's well understood. I saw someone in chat mention Challenger. The reason why Challenger was such a fustercluck, yeah, that's your word of the day. The reason why that didn't end well is because they didn't understand the behavior. That's what made that not safe. They didn't understand what the SRB O-rings were doing. They said, it's fine. The it's fine usually doesn't work very well with human spaceflight, right? That's not a good idea. That's not smart.
So how's that different? How are they not?
Because they understood the behavior. They understand what it's doing. Yeah, see what I'm saying? The best solution here is to go with what you know. And they know that they understand the leak and they've verified it. They verified what it's doing. And they understand the behavior. That's really important to understand, even though it seems a little bit counterintuitive to go with that, it's leaking, you're just going to roll with it. Yeah. Do you want to take the whole thing apart? That's even more risk. More things can go wrong that way.
Right. With shuttle, at that time it was, we've seen it before, so it's probably fine. Whereas this is, they've taken the time to look through it. And that's part of the delays, was not just that there was a leak, it was understanding why did it leak? What was the cause of the leak? What are the potential ramifications of it in orbit? That's the main difference. Because I'll be honest, I was messaging with EJ a little bit during the press conference, and when they talked about a rubber sealant similar to one that you might find in, say, appliances at home with helium going straight through that you don't want a small leak in, something very, very not great came to mind, aka
got the willies, man.
51L.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, the big difference is, as you pointed out, at least now we understand it, but hearing that at the moment, that was a oh crud kind of moment.
Yeah, and it's important to point out that Steve Stitch at the very end of this, you said it, Sawyer. Steve Stitch he's been working on spacecraft for NASA for 37 years. He worked on the shuttle program. He was there through Shuttle Mir, ISS. He's worked on all that stuff as a flight controller, if I'm remembering right. He said there's always teething problems with new spacecraft. They encountered it in shuttle, and he went on to say that every shuttle was basically a test flight, which, yeah, all right. But
We've argued that before.
yeah, right. But he said, Starliner is going to encounter helium leaks. The shuttle had helium leaking problems, and he even went on to say that Dragon had some helium leak problems too that we never heard about. So before you say, well, SpaceX's capsule doesn't, well, the guy that runs the commercial crew program just said that it did at some point. So this is clearly like the helium leak isn't that big of a deal, something that you should understand, but it's not that big of a problem, which is actually pretty interesting.
Well,
Exactly. And with this, by the way, it's just worth noting, someone asked if these leaks or anything like that make any changes to their estimated numbers to risk of crew life and safety. No change whatsoever.
that's good.
They said they could operate that valve with no O-ring in it, and it would still be within acceptable criteria for helium leaks. Because the reality of the situation is that because helium's so small, as you said before, you're going to have a leak. It's just where and when.
How much?
There's allowance for that. Yeah, exactly. Just like there was with SLS when they were doing fueling.
Is this a Chris B type leak or an Edward Snowden type leak? Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah, see, Phil Sloss. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, in the chat. Sitch was a shuttle ascent entry flight director towards the end of the program. Thank you, sir.
Nice. Well, Philip's watching. No pressure. No pressure.
No, not at all.
Pressure at all.
So in the name of spiciness, there was this tweet from a one Mr. Eric Berger, friend of the show. The tweet reads, "If you're keeping score at home, these are the problems Boeing has found with the Starliner spacecraft on the ground since Orbital Flight Test 2. Prop system valves, flammable tape, parachutes, helium leak, prop system design vulnerability. Crew flight test now set for June 1st. That's the tweet. Send tweet. Sir, you have thoughts. I can tell by your facial expression. and statements made by an anonymous one of 4 hosts of this show in the pre-show, which you can get if you're a member. You have thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Oh, we were talking spicy. This is the spicy part. So,
Yep.
Is it possible, Kevin, to bring that tweet back up so we can go through this line by line here?
Yeah, what we just said was a palate cleanser, guys. Here comes the spice.
Here comes the shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Kevin.
And
Sorry
it's,
to backseat
and
produce
heads
here,
up, the shot is Malort. I'm sorry.
All right. You're keeping score at home. First off, no. Anyway, second, these are the problems Boeing has found with the Starliner spacecraft on the ground since OFT-2. That launched back in 2022. So we are talking over the course of 2 years here. There have been things, obviously, that they changed between the first orbital flight test and then the unplanned second orbital flight test. But keep in mind, as bad as this looks, and I see all the comments on X on it about, oh, well, they're not going to be able to solve all this in a couple days. They don't need to. Most of it is. Prop system valves. We saw that issue. That was fixed after OFT2. They've got the valves worked out in that sense. Flammable tape. It wasn't just Starliner that dealt with the flammable tape. There were other spacecraft that had it too. And even so, this wasn't something so flammable that the spacecraft was going to spontaneously combust. They're knowledgeable of it now that it was just a concern. So just to be safe, swapped it out. Parachutes. Fixed. They did a whole bunch of extra testing on it. The parachutes are ready to go. And keep in mind, parachutes? Well...
That groan, though.
Okay,
Grumble.
save your spice.
Grumble, grumble.
Save your spice. Save your spice.
Grumble, grumble. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, they're not New Shepard, okay?
Grumble, grumble. Continue.
Only had 2 or 3 shoots deployed the other day. Anyway.
There's the bell.
Helium leak. As you just heard, yes. That sounds like a big deal, but when you break it down, it is not that big of a leak. It is not anything that is mission critical in orbit. This is a test flight, and they are going to fly with it. It will not be an issue, I don't believe. And even so, they've said that They will likely end up switching this out between the crew flight test and Starliner 1, the first operational flight. That is why this is a test flight. This gives them time to look into it, to figure out what it is. The other thing that they mentioned is that they will not be getting the service module back. It burns up. So this thing that they noticed with the leak on the ground was a good chance for them to actually go in and say, hey, let's study this now while it's still on the ground, while we see the leak, and then we know what to do for the next one. And then the prop system design vulnerability. They came up with a fix. Boom. That is their fourth redundancy option. They were looking at 3 different redundancy options they had. So if all 3 of those fail, they now have created a 4th. The main big thing to me is just those 2 at the end are the only real new ones. And they basically said today, one, they're going to fly with it anyway. And the second one, they've come up with a solution.
All right. I was grumbling about the parachutes. I will keep my.
Proceed.
I will. No. I mean.
No. Proceed now.
Well, as you said, Blue did have 2 of 3 chutes reefed properly on their most recent flight. And I know, what is it, Airborne? It's the company that makes the chutes for like Starliner and SpaceX and New Shepard. It's like one company. So I don't know that there's any commonality between Blue chutes and Starliner chutes, but if there are, I mean, I would be interested to know what happened there and what the deal is.
I agree. The crew did make it safely. Didn't seem like the oldest person to fly past the Kármán line had any back issues afterwards.
Right. It seemed fine, all things considered. That's why you have multiple chutes, right? But when it comes to human spaceflight, you have any sort of off nominal thing like that, and then you look through all the hardware, see if there's commonality, see if it was an issue that's replicable or could occur on other vehicles, that sort of thing. So
I feel like the commercial crew program in general has been like one of the defining moments of it is just how hard parachutes are. Like Dragon had tons of parachute issues where they did a massive chute redesign ahead of DM2. Starliner has had it, and what I think Starliner, they've had like 2 separate sets of issues. In Dragon, they've even done some further redesign on as well. So it's just like, it's impressive that something that seems so simple, of like, big piece of fabric, is so difficult.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Trevor. Parachutes are incredibly hard. They're a huge challenge, and it's especially specialized. I can talk area of like engineering and a knowledge base. I mean, that's why there's one company, Airborne, that does so many chutes for so many different spacecraft, because it's a very, very, very hard thing. Which, you know what? Another point in the column for space planes. You can't see it because it's getting cut out here. Another point in the column for space planes. No chutes, except for the the landing chute. But whatever, we're not going to count.
You know what else is kind of hard though?
What?
A heat shield.
Yeah. True.
Got you there. Got you saying, "Aw, shoot."
Wow. Wow. Well, let's do some Starliner questions. Sawyer, I know I started off with a terrible metaphor. You said it was like a really long one. I guess it's more of a meta 5. I just had to get that in there. I'm sorry. Moving right along. Coco Cats, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Wilbo Baggins, what's up, buddy? Gifting 1 Red Team. Was that buzzer for the bad pun? Stop it.
I think it was.
That's mean. Wilbo Baggins, thanks for gifting a Red Team membership. Dan Elgin, thanks for gifting a Red Team membership. Ken George. A person so great they named him twice. Ken George. Thank you for the super chat. They say they have 2 names. Don't give me that face, EJ. The name is Ken George. It's 2 first names. They named him twice because they're great. Don't give me that face.
What are you gonna do? Give the guy crap because he gave you money?
No, I'm appreciating him. So I said he's so great. He's got 2 names.
All right. Okay.
Say NSF is an awesome group of fantastic people. Been here since SN1. Keep it up, peeps. Thank you so much, Ken. Bideford. What's up, Bideford? With a $25 super chat. Thank you, Bideford. They say, something tells me tonight will be a drinking pun game. Margarita, anyone? Bideford might
I'm in.
Bideford might already be like 3 sheets to the to the win.
Hopefully, no, it was 10 sheets thick, okay?
Oh, right, the valve. Thank you. Or gasket.
And hopefully it's a spicy margarita, because boy, the spice.
Spicy margaritas are delicious. I must concede. Jason, thank you for the super chat to say hi, guys. It was great to meet everyone at Leicester Space Center today. Leicester Space Center today.
Leicester.
You know what? My simple American brain can't comprehend Leicester, because for some reason there's extra consonants. Was a blast. Can't wait till next time. Thank you so much, Jason. I'm glad you got to go to the meetup. There was the NSF UK meetup today. Crafty Geek, $20 tip. Tips.nasaspaceflight.com. So when it comes to launch scheduling, they call it net because they need to catch all the slipping launch dates.
Ooh.
Quality.
Don't do that again.
You got a ooh out of Sawyer.
Yes, again.
What is the entire back channel going to yell at me now for saying Leicester? I'm sorry, I didn't say Leicester. One time. I'm so good at it. I say Leicester one time. Will you stop? Will you stop it, EJ? I see you typing.
I'm sorry, what was the other name of that person who had weapon ammunition in their name?
What?
Oh, yeah. Bullet hole.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
Stop it.
That guy's cool.
Stop it.
That guy's cool.
Stabby Unicorn. Thank you. Wow, $100 tip. That's insane.
Whoa.
And it's going to tips.nasaspaceflight.com, so it goes straight to us. No middleman in the form of Google or whatever. So thank you so much, Stabby. They say, what is your uninteresting fact of the day? Uninteresting fact of the day.
Oh. I cut the grass today.
That's a good one. That's solid.
Yeah.
You have a riding mower or a push behind kind of deal?
Riding motor.
Nice.
live in
Electric
the
or
woods,
electric or gasoline?
Gasoline, man.
All right. Oh, don't look at me like I'm crazy. I'm just asking the questions here. Sawyer, what's your uninteresting fact of the day for good old Stabby Unicorn?
FedEx actually delivered the package within their scheduled 2-hour window, albeit at the end.
Ooh, you got a new camera, didn't you?
Nice.
Now that makes it exciting. Come on, it was supposed to be uninteresting.
Oh, I blew it. Oh, geez. I'm sorry. Trevor's going to say something about Taylor because that, of course, is uninteresting.
No, that would be interesting. I watched Apollo 13.
That is also interesting. Try harder.
Yeah. So what do you think? Gene Kranz, pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I was kind of hoping it would be a little bit more like documentary style, where they kind of explain what actually happened.
We're gonna
more,
give
but
me guff for saying Leicester, but we're not gonna give Trevor guff for saying documentary. He put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
I did. Documentary. Documentary.
Did it again?
Well, no, I was repeat. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. Yeah.
That's it. That you thought it was.
That's it?
Yeah, you
Just
thought it
a
was
good
a good movie.
movie?
That's it. Just
I was definitely ignorant onto just how many problems they had and like changes that were they had to make, but it was interesting.
well, good job. I'm glad you watched the movie.
But I have a proposition for you, Mr. Bayer.
Oh, we're just doing this, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's an uninteresting fact. So, I propose, I mean, there's no downside for you accepting this, but I will let you tell me one movie per week to watch, and I will watch it. However, as soon as there's a movie that I don't, or 2 movies in a row that I don't like, the streak ends and I'm done.
Oh, so I can't just subject you to whatever film I please?
Correct.
You can. You just have to alternate between bad and
Right.
good.
No, he said 2 in a row, not 2 ever. So
Right.
yes. Okay.
Trevor, watch October Sky. Yeah.
You
Oh,
know
yeah.
that's a good
Yep.
good call, EJ.
Yeah. Yep.
This week,
Watch October Sky.
This week your homework is October Sky. Next week your homework is Koyaanisqatsi.
October
Space Camp?
Sky.
No,
Oh,
because
I love that movie.
he's gonna hate Koyaanisqatsi, so it's the alternating. So he's gonna like October Sky, he's gonna hate Koyaanisqatsi, and then the next week we'll have him watch something that he'll like. All right.
Okay.
Stabby Unicorn, thank you so much. $100 tip. It's insane. There's your uninteresting facts of the day / Trevor's derail for Apollo 13. Musical Wolves, thank you for the super chat. They say, is Starliner's launch date like butter, very slippery? Yeah,
I don't want to know what you're doing with your butter.
I
but
guess.
Mine's fridge temperature.
Again, I don't know what to make of this question, but yes, Musical Wolves.
I mean, guys, they delayed this launch not because they're like they wanted to get the analysis in on the helium leak, but the real delay was the chattering valve. The only reason why they delayed it is to gain additional understanding and come up with contingency procedures in case other valves follow this behavior. That's the only reason. This isn't like they're not going to replace a part. You're not messing with that helium valve when it's attached to a hypergolic system. You're not doing that. So yeah, it was just for additional kind of understanding and to make sure that they'll be, this is the most risk adverse solution.
Right.
Or less risk adverse solution. You understand what I'm trying to say. This is the easiest way to do it to be safe.
Oh, I didn't do an uninteresting fact. I've taken hypergolics safety training, and the instructor said that I forget which hypergolic was which, but they said one of them smells like bleach and one of them has like a kind of a fishy odor. And I was like, how do you know what they smell like? Everything I've ever been told is like, do not smell the hypergolics. It's like you're gonna have a bad time. I don't know. Maybe that's an interesting fact, but
you can always smell them at least once.
Right. Thank you, Sawyer. Wilbo Baggins with 2 super chats. One of them, they say, "I'll wait till you've all calmed down." We're calm. We're chill.
Yes. So next episode, got it.
I'm hip. I'm with it. It's an Austin Powers reference. Wilbo Baggins with another one, $10 super chat that says, "Calm down, guys. We wanna ... What does Wilbo want us to do? I mean, calm down, obviously, but I'm curious what this is leading to. Wilbo, what are you cooking? All right, let's do some Starliner questions and then move to the next topic. How about?
Those popped in when we were saying we were going to be spicy about Starliner. To be honest, yeah, that was the context there.
Spiceliner.
Spiceline. The spice must flow, Jack.
Jesus.
Let's St. Al Gabe. Old Bruno. I don't know.
Nice. Nice.
I literally just watched Dune 2 this week. It was really good. I know I'm way behind. Peter Calkins is asking, given the fact that SpaceX was able to complete its CRS requirements for NASA with less money than Boeing got, don't you think it's time to pull the plug on Spiceliner?
Let me take this one.
I think we would all agree no.
EJ, go.
I think even Trevor would agree no, but we'll let EJ handle the esprit de corps and demonstrate.
Here's the thing. And this has a lot to do with the tweet that Sawyer was looking at a little bit earlier. I don't think they should pull the plug on that. I really don't. Yeah, stuff is expensive. Starliner carries a heavier price tag, and they were supposed to be the kind of, safe option here. Well, that takes statements that didn't age well for 500, please. But here's the thing, guys. This is the gist of what I'm going to get at here. I don't think that we are at a point so Starliner and Dragon are both commercial spaceflight endeavors, right? I do not think we're at a point where pulling the plug on a capsule would be more sustainable for the commercial spaceflight industry at all. The commercial spaceflight ecosystem is still very fragile. And it's only until SpaceX started moving around with these Starliner missions and kind of stabilized the demand for missions over time that we've seen some stability in the commercial spaceflight market. It's still very volatile. The commercial spaceflight market has always been this way. You go back 20 years ago, right? Actually, it'd be 25 at this point, old. Everybody thought that, Delta 2, Atlas 5, and Delta 4 are going to get us to the point where, we're going to be launching, once every week. It's going to be great. And then all of a sudden, the dot-com bubble collapsed and demand went to zero, and commercial spaceflight industry completely gone, to the point where it dried up so fast that Uncle Sam had to step in and say, no, don't do that. I mean, there was some industrial espionage going on, from what I understand. But they said, no, don't do that, and they made ULA.
Boeing was spying
The
on
commercial
Lockheed.
industry
Lockheed
is
was
not.
spying on Boeing.
The commercial spaceflight industry is not at a point where we can sit here and pick and choose sides. That's really stupid. That's a really stupid way to look at it. I really don't like that.
Same.
It's not. More rockets, more better, Jack. Right now,
Yeah,
if we get to the point where, if we get to the point where where we could take like a Starliner trip on Starliner or Dragon up to the ISS for like the price of, or any space station for the price of like a plane ticket, that's when you can go and pick sides. But this ain't Ford versus Chevy. You know what I mean? We're not at the point where you can kind of pick and choose what brand you're loyal to, right?
Right. And do I wish Starliner didn't have such a bumpy road to flight with crew? Absolutely. Do I wish it cost less? Sure. Am I glad it exists? Yes, because you never know when something will necessitate additional crew capacity, whether that's an issue with a different crew capsule or just the need for more crew up mass.
Also keep in mind that this was all done under fixed price contracts. So when Boeing messes up, this does not cost the taxpayer anymore. This is what's so phenomenal about the structure of commercial crew. This is all, for every mistake Boeing makes, it is on their wallet at this point. So this is just NASA getting more capability for, at this point, the same price. And that is truly phenomenal. And why, if this was cost plus, I would agree, get rid of it. But given that this was fixed price, it's just like an absolute win to keep the program going.
Yeah, NASA's getting a 10-pound bag of humans in a 5-pound capsule.
Also,
I don't know what that means.
Dissimilar
Sure.
architectural redundancy.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the other good point. NASA, the Department of Defense, nothing. No one's going to rely on one launch vehicle to move everything into space. They tried that in the 80s. It didn't work very well.
Did not.
Yeah. So, right. You want two vehicles that can do the same job, but run off of different rockets, run off of different systems, different software, different everything, so that if something goes wrong with one of them, you still have another that you can go to. Keep in mind the times where if you have no shuttle to launch people from 2011 until DM2, there was absolutely nothing whatsoever. At least now, if for some reason Dragon or Starliner gets taken out of service, you have the other. Like for right now, heck, the fact that Starliner hasn't gotten into service yet, Dragon's been taking over the bulk of it. If for some reason Dragon has to stand down, then Starliner, once it's up and running, should be able to take the bulk of it too.
Indeed. Let's do some more questions. How about?
Okay.
Robin's asking, does Starliner have an abort system? Yes.
Yep. It has an integrated launch escape system. It's a hypergolic system it's in the service module instead of being on the capsule like Dragon. Not that Dragon has a service module. It has the trunk, but you get the idea.
It's basically a service module. I mean, there's no whatever. It's a service module.
I mean, most of
it's an additional piece attached to the backside that does not return.
There you go.
Yep.
Gwen is asking, do you think flight getting scrubbed due to the Atlas valve prevented a capsule mission failure had it launched? Had it launched, do you think everything would have been fine? They would have just fixed this stuff on orbit and as it came up? Or do you think this is like a serious bullet dodged? We'll go around the horn. Trevor, I'll let you go first.
I am too ignorant to answer this question, so I'm going to let Sawyer and EJ, who listened to the press conference, answer.
That's even a weaselier answer than Alex gives sometimes when I ask him dates or favorite.
Dude, Alex isn't even here.
You might have just taken the Weaseliest answer award, but all right, go ahead. I'll start calling you Ron Weasley, and we'll let Sawyer answer.
No, they did not. They absolutely did not stop any mission critical event from happening. As mentioned, they don't even really use most of those thrusters and everything until they're in orbit. So getting into space, just fine. The leak, as mentioned, is small enough that it would have been fine. They still are going to fly with the leak. It's okay. So the fact that they're still going to fly with the leak, meaning that had they flown even unknowingly with said leak, they probably would have still been just fine. It's that minor, and they have enough ways to compensate for it. So that is the beauty. As much as we talk about the word redundancy a lot, that's backups upon backups upon backups for this exact reason. So, no, this would not have been end of mission had they precluded it. This is just something they can now use for the first operational mission to make the spacecraft even safer. And we'll see what else they end up learning on this crew flight test that will then be applied to Starliner 1.
Well, hopefully, like EJ says, they can get a good baseline out of this flight. And
EJ, what's your thoughts on it, though?
Yeah, EJ, what are your thoughts on it?
I think if Boeing and NASA are saying that it's okay, I think it's okay. And what evidence is there to show that that what they're saying is fine? Well, guess what, guys? Since 2019, since the OFT-1 test, NASA has been really up Boeing's tailpipe about getting this capsule to work correctly. They've, all those things that were listed in that tweet about if you're keeping score, right? All those things were found. The tape, which the manufacturer said wouldn't catch on fire, Boeing, because of their stringent testing, because NASA's on them about it, figured out a failure mode in that tape that the manufacturer didn't think was a thing. They've been finding all these seeming problems here because, ironically, you wouldn't have thought this when the Commercial Crew Program was awarded 10 years ago, because they've had Boeing under a magnifying glass. They're putting that capsule through extremely stringent testing, probably to the point where it's more than when they held SpaceX's feet to the fire with Dragon. That NASA thought that that's what they needed to do because SpaceX is the new player in town. They thought, they could just leave Boeing, let them do their thing, and when they're ready, they're ready. And then when they were ready, they didn't sync the clocks correctly on OFT-1, and we saw how that ended. So I think all these things and all these failure modes that they've been finding, no matter how small or large they might be, are the result of NASA being up their tail about this stuff. And because of that, I think that, this fault is not that big of a deal. This one is actually a super isolated failure mode, but even if it's super unlikely for any of those other thrusters to malfunction and leak, they still came up with contingency procedures just in case. Just in case.
Right.
Right. And from that list, I do want to point out, I saw this earlier, Philip Sloss in chat pointing out that the first bullet point of the prop system valve issue was prior to OFT-2. That was what caused the delay to the launch of OFT-2 by almost a whole year. So, totally different. Just, I think, also worth mentioning. I want to acknowledge Philip's comment there.
Thank you, Philip.
Yeah, like I said, this is because NASA's had a magnifying glass on Boeing the entire time since OFT-1, because they looked at that and said, whoa, you guys were the safe bet here. What the heck's going on?
Right.
Now,
what's up? I was just thinking, can you imagine if there had been a role reversal with, if we were in the alternate timeline where SpaceX was just now getting Dragon online and Starliner had been flying for a while, how much flack SpaceX would be catching for like the capsule explosion on the test stand, or for any of the myriad issues that SpaceX, the parachute thing, that SpaceX had to deal with in the lead up to Dragon. Like, I think either company would be getting the same amount of guff if they were in Boeing's position at this point in time. And it's just how these things go. I hate the phrase. I can't believe I'm about to say it, but space is hard. Even if some companies make it look easy sometimes. So it's just.
Well, Jack, that's why I talked about, taking apart the capsule to replace that the helium O-ring versus launching with the leak. That's the reason why, people throw that around all the time, but they never really get into why. It is actually safer for them to, because they know and understand that leak, it is safer for them to launch with that than it would be to go take the thing apart and replace the valve.
Right.
That's very counterintuitive thinking. And that's why space is hard, because it's sometimes just letting it ride is the right call. And that is the safest call here. Interestingly enough, that's why people throw that around. Everybody says it, Jack. I agree with you. Everybody says that, but they never go into why. That's why. Because in this particular scenario, it is safer to launch with a leaky valve that you understand and can isolate, rather than going and monkeying around with a capsule and taking the whole thing apart and put it all back together. That's way less safe, because now you're screwing with the processing flow of the entire capsule.
What if they chimp around with the capsule?
Maybe that'll fix things. I don't know.
They like orangutan around with the capsule, or like maybe like a macaque.
Well, if they were to actually monkey around, then they would go ham on it.
Thank you, Sawyer.
You're welcome. History joke. Trevor, do you get that one?
I appreciate that one, Sawyer. I got it.
Because
Yeah.
the monkey
Good.
named Ham. Trevor doesn't get it, but I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you, Trevor.
Let's see, Mr. Hot Stuff. Thanks for becoming a Pad Rat member. Paul, thank you for the store purchase. This is a purchase to go in a frame next to my IFT-1 shield fragments. The perfect edition. Also now, apparently, I collect patches now. Awesome. They grabbed the Flight 1 patch. Very cool. 42 Spacebar says, Trevor, when are you going to talk about Apollo 13? It's important. That was 29 minutes ago when they asked that, so hopefully they were pleased.
Yeah,
We did.
We did.
Sorry, we missed it.
I hope I didn't disappoint everyone with my take. It was a great movie.
Yay. We just have to figure out the next movie. Well, no.
Trevor, we got to
You
go to
said
a space
October
fest.
Sky.
Yeah, EJ said
Yeah,
October
Sky is the next one.
Yeah.
But Trevor,
No, you said October Sky.
No, EJ
Huh?
did.
I did.
It was EJ, not me.
What?
Huh?
It was definitely
We
you,
all
Jeff.
agreed.
It was EJ, and I agreed that should be it. So yes.
Oh, okay.
October Sky. Do you know the vague idea behind?
No, I have no idea.
You know who
I've never even heard of the
Do you know
movie.
who Homer Hickam is?
No.
No, Jack. No.
All right,
Watch
New
the
Leaf.
movie, and
New
you'll
Leaf.
figure out.
New Leaf. Trevor, I am so excited for you to watch this movie. It's so good. It is
very
It is a
good.
cultural touchstone for space nerds the world over.
Yep.
I am excited for you to see the film. I'm not disappointed in you. I'm not mad at you. I'm not. Yeah. Yay!
You should be so excited that I'm giving you this opportunity to tell me what to watch.
I am. We're gonna culture you up, son.
Yeah.
Sheriff Tracy, thanks, Sheriff Tracy. Always seeing your name in chat is great as well. Gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Taizan, becoming a Padret member. UFO, gifting 5 Red Team memberships. John W. with a $20 tip.
Guys.
Thank you, John. They say, thanks guys for providing some Friday afternoon entertainment. Hooray. Thanks for watching. Austin, with a $5 tip. They say, would you consider Ship 26 to be the bullet hole Starship? No. No. Good try.
Nice.
It's a good try.
Nice.
I appreciate the pause.
Speaking of Ship 26, though, can we see if we can take a look at that cursed abomination of a starship? Do we have a live feed, perhaps? No, don't do the stinger.
What is
Oh my
this?
gosh,
Don't do
Kevin.
the stinger. Hey, it's Ship 26 at Massey's. This is live right now, thanks to Sean, who is staking out the vehicle. The road to Massey's is closed. They have closed it off. There is law enforcement at the intersection of Highway 4 and the road to Massey's. And you can see right down there at the base of the vehicle, there's a little bit of condensation. I see a little bit of vapors. So perhaps some sort of test is imminent with this horrid abomination of a ship.
Blow it up. Blow it
And
up.
Scrap it.
We
now.
expect that this is primarily testing of the tank farm and all of the new plumbing, and that's why they're using this just disgusting thing on your screen, so that if something goes wrong, everyone will celebrate, as opposed to, if something went wrong with Ship 30, Ship 31, something did go wrong with Ship 31 at a different pad, but that would obviously be a much larger setback when this is just an expendable piece of poo.
Wow.
Oh my
What
god.
is this?
There's music with it?
There
What
it
is this? There's music.
Are we going to get copyright struck for that? Because Kevin loves Ship 26 so much? I think we might. All right, well, there's your Ship 26 update. We'll keep you posted on what happens there. And thanks to Sean for braving the mosquitoes and the heat to stake out the worst ship.
We have purchased the rights.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh.
Good deal.
Wow.
Also, I don't think I would go as far as saying the worst ship. I think SN11 is the worst ship.
It wasn't SN11's fault, Trevor. It was the weather.
Right.
That's true if we would have seen it, but the fact that we didn't see anything.
It's not its fault. You can't blame 11. It was the worst launch. But you can't blame 11 for what the weather did. It's like blaming Vandenberg for the fog. Who would do that?
What do you
we don't blame it. We just know.
You blame the weather, Trevor.
SN11 bad.
I mean, fair. Cameron Zuka asking, what's going on at Massey's? Well, that's what we just talked about. Ship 26. Doing question mark. But the road is closed, so maybe it's a cryo test or who knows, some sort of test with the new static fire stand that Ship 26 is on. But we'll keep our eyes on it.
By the way, I'd like to point out the people in chat that are saying, that's where my subscription money is going. Music for Ship 26 support.
Good deal.
I'd be pissed, guys. Just saying.
What song is this?
Kind of
You're
slaps.
making me so angry.
It kind of slaps.
It sounds like the kind of music you hear like at a spring break, like beach day thing.
You're at a Forever 21 because your girlfriend is like, let's go shopping, and you're like, okay. And then that's the music that is playing while you're in the husband chair waiting.
I don't know what any of this means.
You will soon. You will
done
soon.
that before, yep. Or it's like if one of those beach events where like or like an MTV show where they show the quick cuts in between to act as sort of the transition between scenes.
Oh yeah.
That's the music that's playing.
Yeah. It's always a jib shot.
Yep.
I mean, Trevor, you might like that store. They play a lot of Swift music in there.
They do
Just saying.
that.
That's just putting it out there. It's a clothing store. I'm not sure if fashion is your cup of tea.
My clothing store is SpaceX's store, NSF's store, and that's about it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that is a good selection. I do appreciate that.
Oh, Rocket Lab has good merch.
Yes.
Supercluster has good
Sierra
merch.
Space.
Yeah.
Tim.
Cool Ace is decent.
I'd rather be flying an X-Wing. Thank you for the super chat. They say Trevor movies, Fifth Element. Yes. Hunt for Red October. Also yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. Trevor might hate, but he also might love Hunt for Red October. I struggle to put my finger on that one, but we'll alternate. We'll carefully alternate so that if he does hate it, it's not the second hated movie in a week, and we're not going to blow the streak. RC Horseman with $100 tip. Oh my God, you guys!
Yeah,
wow.
My guy.
Wow!
Thank you so much. They say trailer loaded and leaving Tuesday the 28th for Boca Chica. 3,600 kilometers. What's a kilometer? 22,000 or 2,250 miles in EJ measurement. Can't wait to meet y'all. Thanks again, NSF crew. RC Horseman, buddy, beers are on me, man. Come say hey. That's gonna be a hoot. What was that?
That was a duck. Somebody step on a duck.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Trevor, did you just step on a duck?
What?
I believe that was his drink bottle.
I could hear you drinking.
By head like this. Suppose you get a free bowl
I
of
was
soup,
muted
huh?
to the stream. Don't worry.
Oh, it looks good on you, though.
Okay. All right.
I can recreate it.
What are we?
There you go.
We're professionals here. Well, you guys are professionals. I'm just an idiot. RC Horseman also gifting 5 Red Team memberships.
I'm a professional idiot. What the heck, man?
A little bit of okay, sure. Wow, is that venting picking up at Massey's?
That is venting.
Oh,
Vented.
No.
Neat.
Come on. Overpressurize it.
Gee, Sawyer is just savage. I love it.
I told you I'm spicy today.
Where's the ULA sniper?
And Ship 26 has exploding powers, hopefully.
Trevor, what were you going to say?
Sawyer, just go get a whiteboard and like if Kevin mutes you can start writing on it, holding the message up.
No, you wouldn't get the reference, but write it out on cards and then just, Kevin, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think I know what you're going. Haha.
Is that's a laugh? Haha.
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 Aha.
I don't even. All right. Let's see. A couple more support items of support coming through. Matthew Dahl, thank you for the $5 super. They say for Trevor, do we know if ship version 2 is still going to use pre-famulated Amulite, or is side fumbling still being looked at? I do think they could use some more Novatronians.
Yeah, we gotta prevent side fumbling.
You definitely don't want to. I mean, Ship 26 has so much side. Look at all that side fumbling on Ship 26.
Yep.
Yeah, it's also missing a box in our 4 box.
Where did Sawyer go?
No.
Kevin took me off screen because he's upset that I don't like Ship 26 and want to see it explode.
What if
Guys, the main winding on Ship 26 is in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator. Every seventh conductor being connected to the non-reversible Tremie pipe on the differential girdle spring on the up end of the Grammys. Jack, I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know in such fine detail. I'm primarily concerned with the Novatronians.
Still, Kevin?
What if we
Being
all?
employed in the operation
What if we
of
all
Novatronians.
talked ill of Ship 26 and it's just a big box with Ship 26 and just 4 smaller Ship 26s?
Isn't that just called Starbase Live 24/7?
Musical Wolves, thank you for the support. They say SN11 is like Bruno. We don't talk about SN11. Master Toymaker, thank you for the support. They say Ship 26 is not in the Rocket Garden, but in the... I'm not going to read that. Rankly, thank you for the support. They say all of the other starships hate Ship 26. That's why it's really at Massey's. Greg Watson, thank you for the support. They say for the movie list, The Right Stuff, yes. Jurassic Park, yes. And Back to the Future, yes.
Back to the Future. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. Trevor,
do you think?
what's up?
Do you think Trevor would like Back to the Future?
I've actually seen it.
Ooh, did you like it?
Yes.
Whoa!
No.
Whoa.
Trevor, you a book guy?
All right, Kevin,
Strike
keep me
you-
off screen then.
strike
I'm
me-
okay
Strike me
with
as a
it.
book guy.
It was just
I
like,
don't want to be on screen next to him.
I don't really like older movies because the acting is just so bad. The special effects is so bad. I don't know.
Trevor, you a book guy? You like reading books? You seem like a book guy.
I do read books, but
Is the
not...
book full of math? Because that's the kind of books
Yes.
I understand Trevor
Well,
is enamored
There's
with.
a book that October Sky
My
is based
entire
off of.
bookshelf is math books, and there are a few physics books, and then
nice.
very, very few non-math or physics-related books.
I was gonna say.
Kevin,
Sawyer just calling from purgatory.
can you at least take Trevor off screen for that bad take and put either 2 S26s or me?
I was gonna say there's a book that October Sky, the movie's based off of, called Rocket Boys, and I think you'd dig it. It's by an engineer, by a fellow nerd. You know, like we all are here. You'd probably enjoy it. It's a good book. Good book. Very good book. Ask chat, they know.
Chat knows.
Kevin, my mom is a Capcom member. She will come after you.
Oh, you don't want that, Kevin. You do not want that.
Just wait till the after show, Kevin.
I'm here for the Yankee fan on Yankee fan violence. This is great. Oh man.
Excellent. Wilbur Baggins.
Hey, I exist.
Hey, welcome back, Sawyer. How do you feel about Ship
Yeah,
26? Just out of curiosity.
No comment.
That's censorship. Wilbo Baggins, thanks for gifting a Red Team membership. All right, let's... do we have any more questions? Really? Again?
Without the music, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, why did I say anything?
Yeah, you shouldn't
How
have.
do you like that thing so much, man? I don't get it.
The
Just a
diabetic
tune.
kid is asking, what does décollage mean, and what language is it? It's French, and it means launch, or liftoff, right?
Separation.
Ignite, décollage. Yes, 3, 2, 1, ignition, liftoff.
Neat.
Tuesday Didio.
I took 4 years of French, and I didn't know a single one of those words, besides maybe
12 years,
1, 2, 3.
and I still can't speak it super fluently.
Booster 13's asking, do you think after this launch, if Starliner is successful, will the hate stop? Nope.
No. No. It's gonna take a while for it to go down once it starts getting into the operational phase, you know. And even then, there'll be still people who say, you know, it's not gonna work too well, even though they can literally see it in front of their eyes flying up into space. No, it can't be. telling you, man, that tribalism is not good. That's really bad for with commercial space. Now's not the time to pick brand loyalty.
But,
I mean,
but
don't get
silly,
me wrong.
Silly
What's up?
tribalism for fun, though, like hating on Ship 26, is
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
As long as you're not
I just
serious
don't-
about
Definitely.
it.
Like, it's just going back to it. I mean, Sawyer, you've been doing this, Jack, you've been doing this for a long time. Trevor, you're not so much. So this won't make as much sense. But once again, this isn't a slight against you. Just, that's cool to see younger faces in on this stuff, right? But guys, I was around when the commercial launch market just imploded in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then, as Sawyer said a little bit earlier, me, Jack, and Sawyer, we were all here when the shuttle stopped flying, Constellation went out the door, and the entire hopes of the space program was put on a commercial company that launched basically a CubeSat into space. Guys, we've seen the industry dry up before our eyes. We've seen going from something like the shuttle to nothing, to the Soyuz capsule. Believe me, you do not want contraction in the commercial industry at this time. It would be like snuffing out a plant before it grows to bear fruit. That would be awful. That's an awful thing to do right now. That's really, really, really short-sighted and ridiculous. I get
The
it.
good thing is, though,
What's
we're
up?
not doing that. And just this week, Europe had a private company that was kind of made some news. Rocket
really?
Factory Osberg. What?
Really, Trevor? You're gonna
That's a great
you're
transition.
gonna steal
Come
the
on.
segue? Really? All right, go ahead.
That was
No,
smooth.
you can trade.
Dude, do it.
Go
No,
ahead.
that was
Okay.
good. That was good. I'm here for
Go
it.
ahead. Fine.
Yeah, so they completed their first initial firing. So there were 4 engines on the test stand where they started with just one. And then, as you could see there, ignited a second. Then a few seconds later, a third, and then the fourth. And I think they were running all 4 for something along the lines of 8 seconds. And this was the first time they had 4 of these engines firing together. The vehicle that these engines are going on is eventually going to have 9 engines. I believe Adrian reached out to RFA for comments, and they said that over the coming months they're going to install those remaining 5 engines before conducting that 9 engine static fire. But this must be very exciting for all of the Europeans that finally, they have some private companies getting somewhere, and hopefully in the near future, getting into a launch position. I believe in the comments that RFA made to NSF, they were saying if the qualification and campaigns are successful, they're well on their way to having a full stack RFA-1 on the launch pad in August. So, maybe by the end of the year, there could be a launch out of Europe. Well, technically, it's not in Europe, but it's in the UK, is where they're launching from, despite it being a German company. So it's kind of confusing in that sense, but quite exciting.
Yeah. What a beautiful launch site.
Now,
Go ahead,
guys,
AJ.
call me that guy at the very end of that test. Chat, you guys chime in too. At the very end of that test, it looks like the engines burped up something. Am I seeing things like at the very end of this test? Like watch this over here. You see, they burped and then they burp again, like right after that. Like, you do get residual propellants during shutdown of engines. That does happen, but those quick flashes look like detonations to me. Does anybody know? Like, is that normal for that thing to do? Because that's not. You don't want flashes like that as that test stand footage that we have shows, flashes like that usually are bad.
Oh yeah, that's not even in the show notes for this week. But McGregor, the boom at McGregor was also a bad flash, as you would say, EJ.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, we have a video.
you're gonna get residual combustion like this when you shut off an engine because there's still fuel in the lines, and that fuel has to be evacuated. That's why they purge out engines with helium or some inert gas. I mean, you could save the engine that way by flooding it. Like you see it like with the Merlin vacuum engine. If SpaceX is doing a Falcon 9 mission that requires multiple restarts, you could see them safing the engine and then thermally conditioning it over and over again for the starts. But it seemed to cough something up. I'm not sure. Like, there's a little bit of a late cough up there for a second too. I'm not sure if something went wrong here. Like, I'm not smart enough in the propulsion avenue here to really know. But I mean, the test looked fine. It's just, coughing up residuals like that can cause detonation inside of your combustion chambers. Detonation is not good for rocket engines. That's the car equivalent, like rod knock. That's really bad for it.
What if
Like,
it's a
an
rotating
engine could-
detonation engine? Then it's a good thing.
Yeah, but I don't think those are that. But you are right. RDEs are cool, man.
No, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but the staggered ignition, which is kind of why you see it get gradually brighter, that was intentional. They wanted to start with just a single engine and then move to 2 and then move to 3. But the shutdown did look, I don't know.
Kind of burped for a second, dude. Yeah, the sequenced ignition, Trev, is you know about that. You don't want to start all the engines at the same time because you can get compounding resonance with vibrations. That's really bad for that. Like,
it was just very exaggerated in this test, and so it was like 4 or 5 seconds between ignitions.
Always love seeing test stand footage like this. It's so
but
so picturesque too. This location.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful launch site. I mean, once again, this isn't a slight against RFA. I just noticed that. Like, that's awesome that they have a first stage up doing testing like this. This is great. Like I said, the commercial industry is not. It's too new to be able to start taking sides. That's why I don't know about you guys. I cheer on everybody. Anybody that has the stones to do stuff like what you see on the screen right there, that's proverbial stones, by the way. Anybody that has the stones to do that has my respect. That is not easy to do. To get a stage to test fire like that, a long duration test fire, that's a huge milestone. Very impressive.
Except North Korea.
Well, Sawyer, I would contend that that's not a rocket. That's a missile. Differences. Missiles come back down. Rockets ideally don't.
That's a whole nother can of worms anyway.
And they know where they are because they know where they aren't.
That's true. You can subtract where it knows it is from where it knows it isn't. And that
which is called air.
Deviation or something. Cool. Well, that's what's going on with RFA. Excited to see them hopefully come August have their first launch ready to go. But yeah, props to them for sharing some cool test stand footage. All right, well, I guess it's time that we talk about the gigantic steel elephant in the launch site, which is, of course, Starship. And the launch is happening. It's happening. Its launch is less than 2 weeks away. We're under the mythical 2 weeks barrier. Ooh, Total Recall. We got to make Trevor watch Total Recall, too.
2 weeks. The book's better. Sorry. Yeah, I said it.
I mean, you're allowed to say it. But yeah, you can see this week we got some news from the old FAA. We did. By we, I mean Adrian. Saying that the FAA agrees no public safety issues were involved in the mishap, and the operator may return to flight while the mishap investigation remains open, provided all other requirements are met. So, hooray!
You missed the really important word there. If. The FAA has not agreed to this yet.
Yeah, SpaceX is requesting this method of return to flight from the FAA, in which the mishap investigation does not first need to be closed. So, should the FAA agree to that, then we won't get like a Flight 3 mishap investigation ahead of the modified launch license dropping ahead of the 5th. Of course, the tweet from SpaceX announcing the flight on the 5th said the same thing as it did before Flight 3, which was pending regulatory approval. That's sort of the key statement.
Chat loves
there.
Those words.
Right?
You guys
Chat,
love those words.
Chat does love regulatory approval.
I feel the sieve through the stream. I can feel it.
Hey, at least there's no fish people involved this time. At least not that we know about.
Actually, like to basically argue the exact opposite of what I was saying. Like, that it seems like the FAA is kind of like, oh, what's taking so long? What's holding everything up? You guys got to remember, or it's important to remember, like, oh, you got to remember this. No, it's important to remember that, the FAA is working with SpaceX to figure out how to write the book on certifying future commercial launch sites in general. Boca Chica is the first all-commercial launch site that the FAA is approving. And the regulatory framework for that in the past that the FAA has used is for airports. So they're modifying it and applying it to spacecraft instead, because airplanes aren't rockets unless it's the space shuttle, which is amazing. Yep, Chris B somewhere is just like, what? It says shuttle, mate. Yeah, that's right. So understanding that they're writing the book on how commercial space transportation and commercial launching and commercial space center operations are going to be done in the future is hugely important. I can't think of a better commercial contractor to do it than SpaceX, right? You're basically figuring out the regulatory framework for using full rapid reusability, launching every single day. Because what the FAA is trying to do is get rockets to commingle with airplanes in the same environment that they haven't been removed from, right? They're trying to get everything to jive together and make rockets just another thing that we do. And that regulatory framework that SpaceX is helping them working on, yeah, I said it, they're working together. Anybody that thinks they aren't doesn't understand the issue here. The fact that they're working with them on developing regulatory framework for future commercial launch sites means one day we could see launch sites pop up like airports. That would be fantastic. I don't know about you guys. I think, you could make the argument that they're slowing SpaceX down, but I'll take a couple of months here to build out the regulatory framework, which SpaceX has a lot of say in. They're definitely working together on this to be able, like maybe in 20 years to take a trip to low Earth orbit for a vacation. Maybe we don't go to Florida. Maybe we go to Florida to get on the rocket and fly into space and take a vacation up there. You know what I mean? This is establishing this regulatory framework now is a way to bolster and leverage.
The only reason I would want to go to Florida.
Oh, come on, man. Florida's amazing. There's rockets and race cars and Mickey Mouse right next to each other.
Oh, my.
Race cars? Really? Nothing?
I can get race cars elsewhere.
Take pictures.
There's race cars elsewhere. And also,
you don't want to go fast, turn left?
No Mickey Mouse, which is a plus if you ask me.
Fine, Florida doesn't want you either.
Yeah, good. I don't want it. Hey, look,
SMH my head.
Hey, look, it's Space Coast Live.
Yeah, Florida. It's beautiful, isn't it? You should really want to go there.
It's flat and boring.
We did learn some interesting tidbits, though, about what happened in Flight 3. So there were a few interesting bits, like we learned that the fuel propellant transfer demo was successful between transferring propellant from the main tanks to the from headers to main tanks. And then we learned that the reason why Starship lost control in orbit, they believe, was there was kind of a blockage or something in one of those attitude control thrusters that prevented it from firing. So they have on Flight 4 hardware increased the amount of attitude control thrusters. And then they were correctly saying that, without attitude control, you can, when we're going for reentry, that was kind of a problem. So reentry was both in the wrong orientation and had higher peak heating than they anticipated. But on this next flight, they're making a few other changes. So, for example, they're going to jettison the hot staging ring on this flight. Unfortunately, they didn't really give details on why they want to do that, but we can speculate here in a sec. And then also, on this next flight, they're going to attempt the flip and burn maneuver. So if they manage to make it through reentry, just like we saw on SN8 through SN15, it'll do the fun woo and hopeful landing.
Wow, okay.
Oh, woo.
Oh, okay,
You saw them live. You shouldn't.
Yeah, that's not. Sure. No, you're good, Trevor. Yeah, woo. Yes. Please continue.
Woo.
Excitement guaranteed.
Cool. Yeah, woo! Excitement guaranteed. And then on the booster, we learned that 6 of the engines during the boost back burn started shutting down a little bit early after successful ignition of all 13. And then those 6 engines were they didn't attempt to ignite them. They were, there must have been some piece of software that said, because these shut down early during the boost back burn, we're not going to attempt to use them for the landing burn. So then, of course, they were never going to reach the ocean's surface. However, they think that it was once again some blockage in the filters, so they are adding even more blocking measures. I don't really know what those changes entails, because unfortunately we can't actually see them working on that at Starbase. So yeah, just a bunch of small changes once again that they're making for Flight 4, which will hopefully see booster and ship splash down. But I think this really highlights kind of a big change in SpaceX's attitude. Originally, they were wanting to start launching Starlink as soon as possible. But now it certainly seems like they don't really care about launching Starlink as soon as possible and would rather get to full reuse as quickly as possible, which I think probably makes a lot more sense, since expending these vehicles for Starlink satellites was never going to be financially worth it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, Falcon 9 is holding its own with an insane number of launches per month so far this year.
Yeah.
Makes
Trev,
sense.
I mean, we needn't look no further than who Starship's biggest paying customer is right now, right? It's NASA with HLS by a long shot, by about $2 billion, right? So I said this when, after SN15 landed, you guys notice after SN15 landed, we saw nothing from SpaceX. Like no launches, no nothing, no like test flights. We saw nothing until IFT1, because the goals kind of shifted, right? The goals shifted from, getting this thing, to launch Starlink satellites maybe, right? To we need to get Super Heavy working, because if Super Heavy doesn't work, we're not getting our, 100-ton payload capacity lander up into space. The plan shifted. The stakeholder expectations for Starship completely shifted, because money talks, man. Money talks, baby. That's right. Good movie. Anyway, so yeah, right. So that's why they shifted to building the OLM, building the tower, getting all those figured out, getting Super Heavy sequenced ignition figured out, which still boggles my mind that they start 33 engines in 3 seconds, that's okay. I made my bed today, Elon. So there. Now what? Right?
More than I did.
Right? Yeah. There you go, man. The plan's changed, and now it's they're pivoting to full reuse, because they need these Starships and Super Heavies back to refuel the dang thing.
Although, in terms of reuse, one thing I think that was really interesting with this in particular is the hot stage ring is going to be upcoming. That I saw that, I'm like, wait a second. I mean, obviously it'll be later on, but that was an interesting one to see pop up all of a sudden. It's like, oh yeah, and now we're just going to jettison the hot stage ring and then go for the next bird. Wait, what? Backtrack?
Dude, that's got to be a stopgap. That's got to be just something they're doing to like we talked about SN11, right? They sent SN11 because they wanted to get it off the pad, so they could make room for like SN15, right? That they're not everyone is going to jettison the hot stage in the future. I'm pretty sure SpaceX has another lower mass design in the works.
Yeah, at a certain
Trev,
point,
what do you think?
The hot stage will be integrated into the booster itself.
So, yeah, exactly.
Why do we think they are making this change? Because this is something that we wasn't shocking, because we had heard about it in the documentation. I think it was with the FCC and FCC documentation. They had talked about how they were going to jettison the hot staging ring, but then they didn't attempt to do that on flights 2 or 3. So I wonder, what piece of data did they learn during flight 3 that made them think, okay, we really need to jettison the hot staging ring, and moreover think, this is a fine temporary design decision? Like, was it just because they noted that it was to reduce vehicles' mass, but what about that was really a problem? Was it that it moves the center of gravity too far forward? Was it that it makes re-entry, you have more energy, so therefore re-entry is harder? I'm skeptical of that, but it was certainly an interesting comment that I'd really like for Elon or Gwen or someone on X to add more on.
Yeah, how much mass reduction can you really get from deleting the hot stage ring? Like what, like 6 tons, 10 tons? I can't imagine it's that much, but maybe it's.
I think it must be CG.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Maybe it's less of a straight numbers thing and more of a where that mass is on the stack versus the grid fins versus everything. So,
it's got to be control systems and center of gravity for landing. There's really not much else that can be, right? I suppose you could make the argument that it could, land if you jettison that, that's jettisoning dry mass. It gives you more delta V to land. You have a little bit more margin. But I mean, we know that boosters in the future aren't going to do that. So it has to be something that's isolated to this booster design that was the boosters that were manufactured that don't have the hot staging ring like included in the manufacture, right? So that's got to be some type of control mechanism or something. I talked with this in my on Twitch. I stream on Twitch, guys. We were talking about this afternoon. It's got to be something to do with controls. That's the only thing that really makes sense.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know I'm not Trevor, but I'm excited to see.
What does that mean?
You were on screen, so you could have piped up and responded to EJ, but I rudely interrupted you and decided to respond instead. But yeah, it's going to be something different for this flight versus the previous ones. It'll be interesting to see, like, where in flight do we think they're going to yeet the hot stage ring? Like at booster apogee, at separation, some other time that's not either of those.
Timeline said right after boost back, right,
Okay.
Trevor?
2 seconds after, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't have expected it that
is-
late.
According to, there it is, yeah, the timeline's on screen there as well. It is, super heavy boost back burn startup, super heavy boost back burn shutdown at T plus 352, T plus 354 hot stage jettison.
So it's less like yeeting the hot stage ring and more just like letting it go as it's on the way down. Like, be free, hot stage, goodbye.
Let it
It'll
go.
still be on the way
Let-
up
oh, wait,
at
that's-
that point, but yeah.
So what, Trevor? I'm just going to ignore Sawyer.
I was just saying it will still technically be on the way up at that point, but your point stands.
Oh yeah, good point. Neat. Well, something to look forward to. A little bit different on Flight 4. I am Spaghetti's asking, do you think they're going to do a deorbit burn even though it's not shown in the flight timeline? No, they're deleting that,
No.
right, Trevor?
Yeah, we learned this the other day from someone high up at SpaceX. I can't remember who in a talk. They were saying they are no longer going to be doing that deorbit burn, and that they'll just continue on with that ballistic trajectory. And this certainly, to me, highlights that I don't think that Flight 5 is going to be going to orbit, since they'll want to test the deorbit burn before going to orbit. And since that's not going to orbit, I really don't think Starship V1 is ever going to orbit. I suspect they're just going to be learning how to re-enter these vehicles on these V1 flights, and then once they're at V2, maybe do one more of these suborbital test flights, make sure you can do that deorbit burn, make sure you have all of the attitude control, that you don't have problems with the payload bay door, etc., and then hopefully even re-enter and catch that ship. But certainly a little bit of a change in attitude at SpaceX, and frankly, I think this makes so much more sense for Starship than what they were going for before. So, like with Falcon 9, which is kind of the other end of the spectrum, where they just needed to get launching. They didn't care about reuse at first. It makes sense, and SpaceX was, launch this or die. It was that dire of a situation. When now Starship, SpaceX is easily able to go another year, without customer flights on it.
By the way, if I may just really quickly read directly from SpaceX in regards to that, it does say that the flight path does not require deorbit burn for re-entry, maximizing public safety while still providing the opportunity to meet our primary objective of a controlled Starship re-entry. No, these are not reading glasses, but I just felt it looked better.
It worked. It did work. Venting really picking up there at Massey's. It'll be interesting to see what 26 does. I think Sawyer is willing it to explode quietly.
No, I didn't say anything.
No, you didn't. You're right. You didn't. I'm sorry. I put that on you. That's my bad. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on good old Kirsty. I don't know. I don't even know what to call Ship 26.
Yeah.
Tubi?
Oh my.
No, actually, here's the lyrics.
Is he just going to keep playing it over and over again?
Oh, yeah,
Why do you like this thing so much? It's a freaking tube.
One other important thing that we may want to just highlight, since we started the segment with the whole FAA bit, where SpaceX is asking the FAA basically, hey, we didn't cause any risk to the public during our launch. Can we not complete this investigation before moving on? And SpaceX just kind of commented on that at the end of the post on their website, commenting that neither of the vehicle's flight termination systems were activated, and despite that, both of the vehicles splashed down in the expected corridors, which were obviously cleared out for flight. So I think that's all probably a pretty good sign that the FAA agrees that they don't need to finish this investigation ahead of Flight 4. So I think good news.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first flight that didn't activate the autonomous flight termination system. It did point out again that obviously didn't get all the engines firing for the soft landing attempt. Obviously, they had the thruster control once they were in orbit, which the way that they politely worded of areas that were designed and not designed to experience heating still saw excessive temperatures on the way down.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that all of these just happened with natural forces as opposed to the AFTS, and again, as you mentioned, stayed within their flight zones, that alone is a major success from Flight 3.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta walk before you can run, or you gotta launch
Careful.
before you can orbit. I don't know. They're making progress. Each launch so far, we've seen them make incremental progress compared to the previous launch, and I think Flight 4 will be no different. Hopefully, Starship can maintain a better attitude. Ship 29, come on, you got attitude problems, or your siblings have had attitude problems. So we need you to really just put your happy face on.
What do Ship 29 and Kevin have in common right now?
Attitude problem?
Attitude problems.
Kevin doesn't have attitude. Kevin's a gem. Kevin's a saint. He's an angel. He's having a great day.
Hey, Ship 29 hasn't had any. Ship 29 hasn't had any attitude problems. It was just 28.
That's true.
And 31.
And that wasn't an attitude problem. That was just a
we lost Sawyer again.
electricity problem.
I figured.
We do have a question, though, from JS Webb asking any updates on what happened to Arky, which is what some people have taken to calling
Arky.
Ship 31.
That took me a second.
Yeah, some people were calling it Sparky, but I submit that Arky is a more better name.
I don't think we'll ever know. Like, that's not something SpaceX will comment on.
Right.
Nah, they'll just fix it and send it. I agree.
Good question, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anikin is asking, any chance of danger cams on flight day? Yes.
Survey says, shake the magic 8 ball.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, better than ask again later. JS Webb also, they will. JS Webb also asking, will they be doing a flip maneuver and a landing burn on Starship for Flight 4?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, dude, it's in the flight profile. Like, I don't know why we didn't talk about that more. I'm pretty hyped on that. Flip and burn, baby. Let's go.
Ooh, the woo.
Be sweet.
That was the woo that Trevor was doing, right?
Yeah, isn't it way more fun to do that than say flip and burn?
No, flip and burn is way cooler. It's a Chris G-ism. Come on.
Hey,
it's hard, indeed.
Yeah,
indeed.
Guys. Okay, look. If anybody from out there is watching from SpaceX, please get us some footage of that. Please. I'm begging you. I need to see another flip and burn in my life.
Right.
Please. Think of the testing, the data, or something that. Please. No.
It's hard to believe that SN15 was the last time that we saw it go wee.
What is with the sound effects?
I don't know, but I kind of like it now. But still, how has it been since SN15 since we've seen the flip and burn?
I feel like we're doing an Arrested Development where each person on Arrested Development made a different sound for the chicken plucking.
And the banana
we saw many flip and burns on Flight 1.
Oh, well, that's true.
He's got a point.
He's technically correct. The best kind of correct. Falcon's Maze is asking, you were talking about smelling hypergolics. Have any of you ever read the book Ignition? It's on my list. I really need to read Ignition. I assume you have, EJ?
I have it. I have not read it.
That's Eric Berger's book, right?
No.
What is
Ignition
Berger's book called?
It might
Lift
also...
off.
Yeah, there you go. Ignition is the one that's all about rocket engineering. And like
Please,
propulsion
just one more
engines.
flip and burn, bro. Please, bro. It'll be fine, bro.
Just
one
one
more
more
flip
flip
and
and
burn,
burn.
please.
Just one
It
more.
won't S11.
Just one
It won't
more,
S11,
man. Just,
please.
come on, just one more.
Please, bro. It'll be fine. Please, bro. Just get us the pictures, bro. Please.
It'll land this time, I swear.
It'll land this
Oh.
time, I swear.
Look, there's frost on the LOX tank.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ship 26 getting a bit less ugly.
Fantastic. Go Ship 26, go. If only
Stay
to
frosty.
validate the static fire stand so that we can have a real ship tested on it soon.
Dang.
I didn't say it.
Bob Bright, thanks for the $50 tip. Thank you so much. They say $50 towards the Fifth Element Fund. Awesome. Alex grabbing the Flight 2 and Flight 4 patch from the store. Thank you, Alex. Very wise of you to grab the Flight 4 patch and the Flight 2 patch, because once they're gone, they're gone. They say, completing my collection for now, smiley face. Nice. Wade, thank you for grabbing the patch. They say the patch looks really good. It does. It's an extremely high-quality patch. We're not messing around. We take our patches seriously. Telstar, gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you, good buddy. And Garrick, wow, $100 super chat. Y'all are coming out in force today. Thank you so much for the support.
It's because they're awesome.
They say it's true, EJ. It's because they're awesome.
Yeah.
Garrick is saying, I've been watching NSF since before there was a spreadsheet guy. First time super chatter. I'm driving from Joshua Tree to Starbase right now to see Starship in person for the first time. Hope to see some of you NSF guys there. Thank you for all you do. Garrick, thank you
That's
for
awesome.
the support and being a long-time viewer. Here's the deal. If you find me in Starbase, you get a patch. Not a Flight 4 patch. Those are in the store. But you get a cool little NSF patch or maybe some stickers. Whatever I have on me that day. So that's the deal. Come find me. Say hey. Just today, I met a lovely German couple who came to Starbase for like 2 days. The husband proposed to the wife. They were extremely sweet. They're like, oh, wow, we've been watching you guys forever. The wife was like, I put up with this guy watching Starbase stuff all the time. And the guy was like, that's why I married her. It was great. It's beautiful. I always love meeting our viewers. So,
Well, I thought they
Wunderbar.
proposed
Yeah.
in front of Starship.
they did. He proposed like I don't know if it was on the beach or what, but he proposed in Starbase like today. It's pretty cool. Shout out to Robert.
What a
I
G.
think it was Robert and Jenny. Shout out. Congratulations. So yeah,
Good.
Garrick, please come find
good.
us. We want to say hi. We want to ham it up with you. If we're in insane preparing for flight mode and super busy, forgive us. But yeah, do come up and say hey. We always love seeing viewers live and in person. RC Horseman, I will save you a patch. I will save you more than that, RC Horseman. Like I said, beers are on me for good old RC. Wow, that rhymed. That
Dang.
rhymed.
I like it. I approve.
I liked where you were going with that. The second part. I was gonna say, Jack, what do I get if I come down there?
I'll make you bacon.
Oh, I'm in. All right.
I can
Nice.
do. How do you feel about a bacon wrapped scallop?
Not the biggest seafood guy, but I could get down on
That
that.
sounds dreadful.
Bacon wrapped shrimp.
That sounds delish.
Bacon wrapped bacon. How about that?
I'm in.
Bacon
Let's
wrapped
go.
jalapeno.
Sure. Let's do it.
Turducken, but instead of the duck, it's just all bacon.
Turpiggin.
Yeah,
It's turbacon.
turbacon.
Yeah, no. Let's
Okay,
do
yeah.
it, man.
I'll
I'm in.
make you a turbacon.
NSF cooking streams when? Let's go.
I'm telling you, we've been joking about this for literally years at this point. Second channel with a cooking show. Let's go. I'll be your Julia Childs.
Let me hear your Julia Child voice.
No, absolutely not.
It's time to cook again.
Snot Garden, thank you so much for all the support
What?
now and forever, even though you have a terrible name that I don't understand to this day.
Love
and
it.
It's been years, and I don't understand it. But thank you, Snot
I'm here
Garden.
for the names. Snot
Yes.
Garden.
It just makes me think of Soundgarden if they were like all sick. Rest in peace, Chris. Yeah.
All right.
You know, Soundgarden is actually named after a piece of public art in Seattle. It's like a bunch of pipes and stuff on the edge of a bluff, and so when the wind blows, it like makes a harmony kind of sound. Snotgarden, I hope, really is not named after a piece of public art because I don't want to think about what that would be. Anyways, they say I'm curious.
Doctor Who Space Babies for anyone who watched it. You're welcome.
Oh God, they say I'm curious. Would there be any value in leaving some tiles off by design to test the impact on survivability? What do you think? Leaving some tiles off on Starship to test survivability. I don't think you need to really do that to test survivability, do you?
I think enough will fall off.
Right.
I mean, the other thing is that, you know, you want to take into account problems that could happen, but I don't think being okay with tiles falling off of your reentry vehicle is something that you should really test for. Because, right, okay, we're going to launch with no tiles, right? We're going to launch with some tiles removed, right? The expectation there is that you're putting the vehicle into a mode because you're expecting tiles to fall off. That's the implication there. That's not really a good way to go about testing. You should probably just make sure that the tiles don't fall off. That would probably be a better use of that time. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not a bad idea. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, you generally want to keep your tiles inside the environment. You don't want them to fall off.
Yep. Yeah, yes, you do not. Yeah, that's right.
That would be not normal.
You don't want that to be normal.
Anonymous, grabbing the Flight 4 patch. They say, looking forward to watching the flip and burn from onboard cameras. Fingers crossed we get to see that. Thanks for grabbing the patch. And Snotgarden again, gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Snotgarden. What a abomination of a sentence. Thank you, Snotgarden, are the words that just came out of my mouth. Canan Copeland. Go ahead.
Chat, real quick. Chat's, Will, much easier said than done. Oh, believe me. As a shuttle nerd, I've read a lot about tile adhesion and, water permeating glue and tile densification. Yeah. Hopefully SpaceX's mechanical tile adhesion, it works a little bit better.
Right.
Hopefully.
Although there are spots on the ship where they are glued on as well, like the tricky spots, the nose cone, or the spots with the on top of a weld. So it's even if the mechanical adhesion is like foolproof, bulletproof, whatever you want to call it, it's unavoidable that they're going to have to deal with some sort of glue or adhesive for some of the tiles. Probably some of the more critical ones, like the flap leading edge, like that sort of thing. Those are kind of important.
Well, that also seems to be where SpaceX has had the fewest problems, though, since, on the flaps, that's just a constant. It's not undergoing pressurization or anything like that and kind of moving. It seems to be like mainly the pin tiles that have been problematic, which is probably a good thing since those are also the ones that are most uniform.
Right.
I mean, the other thing to take into account, Jack, you're talking about leading edges because of the shuttle, right? The shuttle had reinforced carbon on its leading edges. The reason why is because of the angle of the hypersonic wake that it leaves. It varies with attitude and velocity, right? So at a higher speed, let's call it, to use Peter Beck's words, we'll call it the plasma knife, right? At higher velocity, your plasma knife is actually closer to your vehicle. And, if plasma is closer to your vehicle, it tends to get warm, right? But at lower velocities, the angle, that kind of wake angle, so to speak, kind of expands out. And that's the reason why the shuttle had a strip of RCC on the wing leading edge. Now, Starship is not going to, it's kind of not going to come in like the shuttle. It's more perpendicular to its prograde velocity vector, right? Like it's coming in more like this rather than like kind of angled down, right? So because of that, you have kind of a spherical, you're looking at the vehicle from the front and you have a spherical wake being made there. And a sphere is actually a very efficient reentry shape. It's a good way to keep that plasma knife away. So the leading edges, no doubt they're going to get hot, but they wouldn't get as hot as the space shuttle's leading edges because it doesn't fly through that hypersonic boundary. So that's what I mean. Tile adhesion, like some of them are glued, some of them are mechanical, but we're really dealing with a shape like this that hasn't gone through reentry since the early Vostok and Voskhod missions, which was basically just a sphere with a seat inside of it, right?
This is actually
Yeah, Trev, go.
No, I was just gonna say this is like something that's kind of interesting. You know, when we were first. This is actually a bit of space history. I do know just because of physics.
You know space
You know,
history?
Send it. Let's hear it.
All right, let's see.
and let's see, Sawyer and EJ are like, let's critique all of this. And
No,
my
I'm
understanding
here
is
for
that when we were first trying to learn of how do we get something to survive reentry, right? The idea that we had was that you kind of want, you know, a sharp like cone shape, like the tip of this pencil, so that you can kind of just like quickly go bite through the atmosphere or whatever term you want to use. And that turned out to be almost the exact opposite of what you wanted, right? You want something that's kind of more blunt so you can really push that bow shock away from you to protect yourself from that plasma knife, which is,
Yep.
you know, kind of somewhat unintuitive. Like, I think it's easy for us to take those lessons and be like, well, obviously that's what you want. But if you don't know anything about reentry physics, I could definitely understand that you want something that's nice and pointy.
It's not pointy enough, Trevor. It has to be more pointy. How are we supposed to instill fear into our enemies?
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's it was a joke.
I know of that only because of the Elon interview, but I don't know what like actual movie that's from.
It's fair, but you're absolutely right. Like if you take something like Concorde, which is, you know, very sleek and pointy, and then you take something like the shuttle, Conky. You look at the shuttle and you look at Concorde and you're like, which one of these goes faster? It looks like Concorde goes way faster than the shuttle, but in reality, the shuttle probably goes, I don't know, 25 times as fast, 12 times as fast. If we're talking about, you know, velocity relative to the ground, right? It goes way faster. The faster you go, the more blunt of a shape you need, because it's about your ballistic coefficient. You want to keep your ballistic coefficient low, and I mean, you could keep your coefficient of drag. You kind of want to keep that low, but the other thing to take into account, like with the shuttle, right, is the shuttle flies awfully. It's designed to induce drag. It's supposed to fly like trash. Like NASA didn't just make the shuttle and then said, oh, wow, this thing doesn't fly very well. No. It's designed to fly well at Mach 10. It's not designed to fly well in the subsonic regime. It's only supposed to land when it's going subsonic. That's it. So, you know, you're thinking there's a lot of very different kind of shapes here, right? You know, the shuttle flies awfully below the speed of sound. It flies terrible, right? But, you know, even though that blunt shape looks like it's supposed to go faster, right? Or it looks like it's supposed to go slower, it actually goes way faster than like Concorde. Concorde could only do Mach 2 off the top of my head. Olympus engines are a beautiful design, by the way. Shout out to that. Fantastic.
And of course, the capsules ended up getting a lot of their original ideas from meteorites. You look at it and they'll come back and made it through atmospheric heating, and you realize that it sort of ablated the material backwards into that conical shape on its own. So basically using Mother Nature's own, hey, this is how these survive from space. This is probably how we could get our capsules to survive from space, and they do. Yep. And the other thing that you pointed out, EJ, in terms of just the angle at which we're going in, a reminder that when the shuttle entered the atmosphere, it is 40 degrees pitched nose up. It has to do a lot more, again, with center of gravity and things on the vehicle like that, and then exposing, obviously, those tiles to the heat of reentry. But when we're comparing vehicles here, you're talking about something that is a blunt edge at 40 degrees nose up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good deal. Always love when we can get some shuttle talk in.
It's also interesting to note that the shuttle and Starship are supposedly going to fly a very similar reentry path. I mean, with any type of crewed vehicle or any type of something that's coming down, you don't want a steep reentry trajectory. You want to do the majority of your braking in the upper atmosphere and then, you know, stay up there as long as you can and then fall back down. I mean, the shuttle, we could argue that the shuttle didn't fly very well. It fell with style, and Starship is going to do the same thing. But instead, at the very end, the shuttle would land on a runway and Starship will do the flip and burn of awesomeness, which I really need to see more, please.
Yes, please. I think we can all agree. Yes, please.
No? Question? No? You do? No. Okay, cool. Sorry.
I was just going to say really quick, and if you do like shuttle, don't forget, we have Shuttle Sundays whenever there's not an NSF Live on Sundays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central on Space Coast Live. And, of course, you can catch up with all of our previous ones with the Shuttle Command. We have a whole playlist of them.
Yeah, Sawyer, what are we going to do next? STS-8?
STS-8, yes.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that. Shuttle Sunday is always a treat. If only just so we can get the Burgonator waxing on about the shuttle. And then sometimes Philip shows up in chat, and I'm like, oh god, I have to sound smart. Philip is here.
Don't hate us, Dad.
As someone who is not super knowledgeable about the shuttle, like the people with me, I very much enjoy watching it because you learn a ton.
Dude.
There's so much about the shuttle that's just mind blowing. So I would recommend.
It really was an amazing machine. It was
it's a heck of a design,
fantastic,
dude.
amazing, beautiful, horrible machine.
Here's my spicy take. People ain't gonna like this. Everybody talks about design flaws, this design flaws, that. I think the shuttle is a fantastic design. It's fantastic. You'd be hard pressed to find a partially reusable vehicle that can do what the shuttle can do for any more or any less complexity. I think the problems with the shuttle program was programmatic. It was the people pulling the strings, not the design. The design is fine.
All right. I'll
That's a
allow
hot
your
take.
spicy take. I don't know if I agree. Well, Trevor, what's your hot take?
No, I was just saying that is a hot take.
Yeah, re-entry.
It's the Bradley fighting vehicle of space. It's Pentagon Wars in space.
Yeah. It really sucks
Flamey,
that...
like in a flame trench.
I mean, Jack, so let me put it to you like this. If you have a better way of getting 12 tons of down mass, 12 tons back from space, let me know. And reusing your upper stage engines.
Point taken, but I'm not a rocket
that's what
engineer.
I mean.
But
No,
at the same time, it's just like designed by committee bad. Like from where shuttle started programmatically, what it was supposed to do and achieve and be, to where it ended up when it actually got funded, the compromises that had to be made. I mean, I forget who it is. One of the longtime shuttle engineers who does the fantastic blog posts.
Wayne Hale.
Wayne Hale, yeah. I think it was Wayne Hale that on one of his blog posts said, like the narrative of the shuttle being ruined by the Air Force and Congress is not accurate. Like NASA got the exact shuttle they wanted, etc. Like point taken. That said, I still feel like it suffered from trying to please all parties and be the one-stop shop when. Maybe we didn't need such giant wings or so much cross range. Or maybe we didn't need to do orbit once around, which never got utilized. Or maybe we didn't need to basically woo the Air Force into launching all of their DoD missions on the shuttle, which ultimately they ended up obviously shying away from due to various reasons. So it's easy to look back into the past, and hindsight's 2020. But it's
that's what I'm talking about, dude. It's a programmatic problem. I think the design is just fine. The problem is that they tried to stretch the most complicated launch vehicle ever devised by man, and tried to just, everyone's got to use this now. It has so many stakeholder expectations. Now it's got to do all these things like that. I mean, the shuttle was supposed to. The whole idea was the shuttle was supposed to operate like a plane. You're going to test fly. You can test fly a plane 4 times. Right. And then just be like, yep, it's good.
Right.
When's the last time they ever did that with a commercial airliner? No, I know someone's going to get spicy. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. I can hear you typing on your keyboard. Don't do it.
I can hear Kevin typing on his keyboard because he's a loud typer.
But that's what I mean. Like an airliner, it takes thousands of flight hours, thousands of hours of testing. We launched shuttle 4 times and then it's just good to go. Well, yeah, we'll learn the rest as we go. Yeah, that didn't work. That's a programmatic problem. That ain't a design problem.
Yeah, that's fair. We talked about that on Shuttle Sunday.
We talk about that on
the
Shuttle Sunday.
On the STS4 episode.
Yeah, baby.
Jack, that was not me typing.
I don't believe you.
It was me. I
don't believe you.
Jonas, I told you not to talk about it, man. Dang. The heck, Chad?
Blake Alexander, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. It goes without saying that we can't do what we do without our good old membies. So thank you so much, Blake, for all the support over the years. Always see your name pop up with support. And now you have gifted the joyous gift of membership to 5 people who might not otherwise have it. So thank you. Anonymous, getting the Flight 4 patch. They say, I know how Trevor feels. I don't recall names like the dude that does the maths in The Martian. Trevor, have you seen The Martian?
Rich Parnell?
And Sudaban, That name sounds familiar.
Sudi, what's up, buddy?
They say just from a design standpoint. Oh God, we're really gonna do this. We're really gonna do this. I think
Shuttle all day.
Oh yes, shuttle, baby! I thought you and I were gonna have to fist fight, EJ. Get that.
Oh hell no!
Get that Baran crap out of here. Do I need to go over the farewell dossier again? Somebody type farewell into chat for Nightbot. Here, I'll do it. Farewell.
I think the only design positive that you had is that the engines weren't necessarily fully attached. You're not carrying dead weight.
Right. All right.
But,
So
I mean,
otherwise,
for those of you
American shuttle
who don't know about the farewell dossier, basically, and I'm probably butchering this, but there was a whole bunch of industrial espionage on both sides during the Cold War. Soviets spying on United States, United States spying on Soviets. The link's broken? Is that what you said, Sawyer?
Didn't work for me.
No.
Yeah, it didn't work for me.
All right. Well, I gotta update that. Anyways, farewell dossier. Yeah, the page we requested does not exist. Oh no. Farewell dossier goes over a lot of these. They were called Line X, like industrial espionage actions, where the United States knew that the Soviets were spying on our industrial base, and then provided like blueprints, schematics, plans, things of that nature, intentionally to the Soviet spying operation that had flaws built into them in order to set them back. It's like a double agent kind of thing, but in industrial espionage form. Anyways, in the farewell dossier documentation from the CIA, it doesn't. I don't think it names the NASA administrator, but it cites a former NASA administrator as saying that the Buran Incorporated designs provided through that Line X industrial espionage, anti-industrial espionage system that the CIA was running, and that they incorporated flawed designs into the Buran because of it. Ha! Take that, Buran lovers. I'm gonna have to find an update to that page though. But it is, of course, coming from the CIA itself. Like, it's the CIA saying, "Hey, look at this great thing we did." So take it with a grain of salt. But that is why I always bring up the farewell dossier when we talk about Buran. Anyways.
People are, William, you're saying the shuttle is designed by committee. The shuttle is designed by committee, but the stakeholder expectations were clear on what that vehicle was supposed to accomplish. That's the thing. They knew what they wanted the shuttle to do. NASA had plans for it. Some moron didn't fund those plans, but hey, whatever. They had plans. They knew what they wanted to do with that vehicle, right? It's pretty straightforward stuff. If you look up the original National Space Transportation System program, they had idea. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. I would contend to say that, like I said, I don't think it's a design problem. If the engineers say it's designed to do this, and you say, oh, okay, cool, but what if it does this? And the engineers say it's not really designed for that, and then you do it anyway, and it doesn't work. Whose fault is that? Is that the design's fault? The shuttle's just an amalgamation of metal and silicate tiles and wiring. Like, it's not sentient. It doesn't have its own mind. If it doesn't do something that you want it to do, that's your fault. That's not the design's fault.
All right, here we go. I found the appropriate page. I linked it in chat. Here's the quote. Contrived computer chips found their way into Soviet military equipment. Flawed turbines were installed on gas pipelines, and defective plans disrupted the output of chemical plants and a tractor factory. The Pentagon introduced misleading information pertinent to stealth aircraft, space defense, and tactical aircraft. The Soviet space shuttle was a rejected NASA design, and it has a little 5 there. And when you go down to the citations, 5 says, conversation with James Fletcher. Oh, so it did name the NASA administrator. Conversation with James Fletcher, NASA administrator. So yeah, let me just read that one more time for all you Buran lovers out there. The Soviet space shuttle was a rejected NASA design. So saith a NASA administrator. I hope we can put that to bed. Yeah, Control F shuttle, Kevin.
For all its design flaws, Buran did work. It worked on its first flight, landed back from space. That's pretty cool. But yeah, did it once.
Then you kind of had the whole Soviet Union collapse and then a building collapse. But
oh, the building collapse makes me sad.
Yeah, my thing with Buran is that you're getting rid of your Energomash RD-0120s every time. Putting 4 of them at the bottom of a core stage and expending it is kind of crazy, don't you think?
A little bit. It's like, who would expend really nice engines like that? Like 4 of them?
Yeah,
on
I know,
core
right?
stage?
Yeah.
Who would ever? I can't imagine.
It's just crazy. That's ludicrous. Why would you do that?
Never.
Speaking
That'd
of
be really
ludicrous,
expensive.
let's talk about the ludicrous explosion that we saw at McGregor this week. We did touch on it a little bit
Oh, I'm
earlier
in.
in the broadcast, but might as well bring that up.
Boom.
Kaboom, kaboom. It's a boom boom. Like it looks like the Raptor let go and then caused something else on the test stand to let go, which not great. I'm sure Chad is going to ask, was this a Raptor 3? What were they? Why did it explode? We have no information. I don't know that we necessarily think it was a development version of Raptor or Raptor 3 or what. But either way, hopefully the tripod test stand at McGregor isn't out of action for too long. But I don't know. What are y'all's takes on seeing this? EJ, I'll let you run with it first.
You want me to run with this?
I want you to run with this. Does this go to show just how reliable or unreliable Raptor is? I don't think so. I suspect you don't either.
Yeah, the only way you're gonna get Raptor to the point where it's matured to be enough to rely on it on a day-to-day flight is to do stuff like this. With that being said, as you said, I don't mean to echo your words, right? But we don't know what type of Raptor this is. We have no idea what they were trying to do. I don't know what they were trying to do. That's the whole. We can't really form an opinion. We don't know what the premise for the test was. With that being said, I think there's some stuff that's very telling from this failure here. If we just scrub back a little ways right at point of failure, I don't know if you can do that, Kevin. Can we do that? You see a pretty big explosion come from above the deck of the tripod and go up, and out of that comes a big black sooty cloud, and then you see whatever happened down low. If I'm looking at this right, and keep in mind, I'm not a propulsion expert, that looks like something on the methane side of plumbing failed miserably, like catastrophic impeller failure or something, because initially you see that puff of black smoke come out the top of the test stand. That means, you see the black smoke, and the black smoke is unburnt methane. So it must have been something around the preburner on this engine. Now, okay, so for people that, if I just said words and you didn't get it, so.
But EJ, what's a preburner?
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, if that didn't make any sense, Raptor has 2 preburners on them. They're basically jet engines.
Preburner,
okay?
I hardly knew her.
Oh, hey. These preburners, think of it like a jet engine, okay? And one of these jet engines is running with an extremely fuel-rich mixture. So a lot of fuel, a little bit of oxidizer. And another one is running with extremely high amounts of oxygen. So it's oxidizer-rich with a little bit of methane, right? And what these things do is they get the propellants to basically, they introduce a little bit of heat and a little bit of an explosion to these to get the propellants to spread out. Spreading out the propellants and then combining this fuel-rich gaseous and fuel-rich oxidizer mixture together gets you a much more powerful explosion. Think about it like, I don't know if you guys have watched Smarter Every Day with the carburetor video.
Oh,
how
God,
it takes
yes.
the gasoline.
Those are so good.
And it atomizes it. Gasoline itself, yeah, exactly, dude. Gasoline is not, it's not really flammable. It's the vapors that are very flammable. That's why a carburetor drops the pressure in a venturi and allows the gasoline to spread out so it can combine with the oxidizer better. Raptor is basically doing that, but with methane and liquid oxygen. It's called a full flow stage combustion cycle for the uninitiated. It's like, this is cutting edge stuff, man. Electromechanical jazz, man. Anyway, so.
Why do they call it a carburetor? It seems kind of redundant. Shouldn't they just call them aerators?
I don't know. Ask Mr. Carburetor.
It's a bad King of the Hill reference. Anyways, please continue.
Oh, it should be using propane, boy. I tell you what. Anyway, so knowing what we know about preburners now, right? You see a big puff of black smoke coming out the top there, and it kind of comes out a little bit from the side. So something seems to have gone wrong with the methane preburner there, and that's pretty much all we could tell from this footage. And once again, if anything that I just said didn't make any sense, it exploded. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not alive. It unalived itself like really badly. It's broken. That won't buff out.
Nate and Knight in chat's asking, do they have truck berators? Or like a boat berator?
They're called carburetors. Yeah. I mean,
But yeah, it's
yes.
it's not a good day for that test stand, I think is safe to say.
No.
And somebody
Yeah.
else in chat was asking, is that a pressure wave or a shock wave, or is that just the way the camera picked up the light from the fireball? No, I think
It's
that
a
is
detonation.
Yeah, that is a
all day.
genuine pressure. Like that is an extremely energetic event.
Yep. Yeah. It looks like there was a pre-burner failure during hard start, and it ignited stuff upstream of the impellers. And once again, if that didn't make any sense, big explosion, go boom.
Thomas in our back channel is saying, for reference, the previous tripod RUDs we've seen have begun testing again 2 to 4 days later. 2 of them were 4 days, then 1 was 3 days, then 1 was 2 days. This one might be longer if it damaged GSC, but either way, they're quick. Hooray! Thank you, Thomas.
Thanks, Thomas. Yeah.
But yeah, Trevor, we'll let you have a say. Like, do you think this says anything about Raptor reliability, or, I mean, is this no sweat off your back?
I mean, first of all, we don't even, for all we know, this could have been an intentional test of failure. I'm kind of skeptical of that, but we don't know for sure that it wasn't. We know that they do those fairly often in McGregor. And then also SpaceX tests, does 50-ish engine tests a week, if not a little bit more? And this is one that we recorded that had a big problem. That's, this is why you test at the end of the day. And I don't know, Raptor, there was certainly a time where I think it was valid to be concerned about its reliability, and I do not think that this is that time.
Concur. Sawyer, any thoughts? Good, buddy?
Yeah, go Sawyer.
Yeah, you should be watching all these tests at McGregor Live 24/7 right here on NASASpaceflight.
Honestly, do you like jump scaring yourself and or your friends and family? Put McGregor Live on one of their computers or TVs in like a separate tab. And turn the sound up good and loud. and then whenever there's a test, humans and animals will alert and go running alike. It's quite nice.
Yep, all you need is 10 minutes of silence interspersed with pipe banging sound.mp3 and then McGregor Live, and you're all set.
Exactly. Thank you, Sawyer.
You're welcome. And that is a real video, by the way.
Trevor, Gary Hayes is asking, you're so quiet, are you reading a math book right now?
Dang, dude.
I don't know what
chat's messing with you too.
No, he's listening to Taylor.
I'm not listening to Taylor either.
I don't believe you. Are you thinking about Taylor?
Not until now.
Don't think of a blue whale. Echo Deal, thank you for the support. They say shuttle sundaes, are those made with astronaut ice cream?
Oh, that's a good one. I gotta steal that.
My hot take is I actually like astronaut ice cream. I know it never actually went into space and blah blah blah, but it's it's a fun treat.
I surprisingly enjoy it too. It could just be that I've eaten it enough times when I taught kids about real space food, but yeah.
Flex.
I like Dippin' Dots. It's the ice cream of the future.
Yeah. Until you get it and eat it, in which case it's the ice cream of the present. But like when you're going to get Dippin' Dots, it is the ice cream of the future.
Yeah, it is.
Now I want Dippin' Dots.
Yeah, see?
Bideford, thanks for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Flex, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Jackknife2531, upgrading to Capcom. You get Discord access, good buddy. Hop into the Discord and say hey, and also hang out after the show for the post-show. And then next week before the show, join early for the pre-show, because that's the thing we do for members. Kind of hang out and chit-chat informally. And Sir Worthington, thank you for the support. They say, if anyone hasn't seen it, I highly recommend Bald and Bankrupt episode, sneaking into the launch facility to see the Buran. Ooh, yeah, I'll have to check that out.
A lot of people have snuck in to see Buran. Just fair warning, there's a lot of those on YouTube, and some are better than others. I'll say that.
Right. I mean, if I was going to go to Russia and do some urban exploring of questionable legality, that would be high on my list. Like,
well, then you'd be in the wrong country.
Sorry, what is it? Belarus or
Kazakhstan?
Thank you. Carson Phillips. They say, is that the best ship behind Trevor? No, it's not, Carson. Nice try, though. Also, hi, Carson. Oh.
I can't believe we actually bought that.
Yeah, I can though. That's the thing. It is Kevin, and I mean, what do you expect? Kevin is nothing if not faithful to a bit. Jacob S. Thank you for the question. They say, oh wait, no, that's a really old question. Here we go. Kenyan
Ask it
Copeland.
anyway.
They're saying, is the 28th a wet dress rehearsal for Starship, and why might they slip back from the 5th? Well,
that's
I don't know.
the testing closure for the 28th does look like it would be for a wet dress, right?
yeah. We are expecting another full wet dress at this point, which will probably be on the 28th, and then from there, that roughly a week until they're in launch position, since they would need to go through, activate FTS, do that final tile work, and whatnot. And I think, if anything delays this launch, I suspect it'll probably be tile work. It seems like there's a decent amount left to do.
It's weird because I feel like in the morning, like every day up until around noon, for since Ship 29 has been sitting where it's at, there's like 5 or 6 different lifts and people working on various tiles and all around the ship. And then afternoon hits, and it's like nothing. That process has been repeated over the last couple days. Maybe I'm just imagining it, but for whatever reason, they seem to do a lot of the tile work, or at least work in general on 29 in the morning, and then come afternoon, and they're like, all right, we're good. I don't know, maybe it's the heat of the day or something like that, but
Maybe it's the heat of the moment.
You beat me to it, darn it.
Yes! Oh, I win! Ha ha! Yeah!
Stomp, stomp, clap. Trevor has no idea. Todd Johnson, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Very generous of you. And Jerwa, good old buddy Jerwa, what's up? They say, can I get an F in chat for my 14-year-old server that just bleeped its last bytes?
Oh.
F's in the chat for Jerwa. Jerwa's an old school legendary tank watcher who's awesome and we love him. I want to see F's in chat right now.
There have been a lot of F's in chat.
Excellent.
F to pay receipts. That's what that is.
Yeah. No regrets.
No regrets.
Good deal. Well, I mean, where do we go from here? I think that's about it for this week.
Also, there's so many people. Trevor, do you know why it's F to pay respects?
No, he doesn't.
Nope.
That's not even that old of a... X to doubt.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that one either. I guarantee it.
Do you mean X the Everything app?
All right.
No,
well,
we
thank
don't
you
mean that.
so much to our launch directors and flight engineer members this week. I'm not even going to give Trevor the satisfaction. I don't know if Kevin is even ready to show the card, but he's spinning us around, and I hear outro music, so
Twixer. It's
sort
not
of feels
X.
like. Oh, don't do the launch directors and flight engineers could not do what we do without the members, and especially the launch directors and flight engineers, the 2 highest levels of support for the member program. Thank you all so much. Absolutely core to keeping the content flowing here at NSF. So thank you. Thank you.
Why is it catchy? Why is it catchy?
It is. It kind of slaps. All right. Before I get lost in the music, EJ, thanks for being on this week, good buddy.
Thanks for having me. It's a privilege coming on here and doing this with you guys. Trevor, Sawyer, Jack, yeah, appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. I like to have fun, but it is important to, understand that. So thanks for having me, everybody. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. EJ streams on Twitch all the
Yes,
time.
sir.
I don't know how you do it, man. You're a machine. So
Yep.
yeah, go follow EJ on Twitch for some excellent additional content if you like what EJ is putting down. That's where you can pick more up.
Where we really go off the rails. 'Cause
Yeah.
we play Derail Valley and the train derails, but,
Nice.
whatever. Moon Train.
Moon Train, woo woo.
Oh, Moon Train.
Trevor. Oh no, Sawyer. Fine. Kevin just makes the decisions for me. Sawyer, thanks for being on, good buddy.
Yeah, it's, sorry, I get your references. No, it's I'm kidding. It's an absolute pleasure to be here as always. I love it. And for those wondering, let's see, there he is.
Hey!
His appearance.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And
Trevor?
you did make your bed. Wait a minute.
Who said that's my bed?
Also, who said he made it?
What?
What?
I don't know what's I don't know what's happening.
Maybe I have 2 bedrooms.
Trevor,
I don't know what's
thank you for
happening anymore.
Trevor, thank you for, I guess, being on or whatever. It was okay to have you.
Yeah, it was okay to be here. See you next. Well, I don't
Just
know. if I'll be on
okay?
Next week. At some point in the next week.
No, I won't. We need you back here. You gotta give us an update on October Sky.
Right? That is your assignment this week, bud. Also,
Okay.
Chad, if you've never seen it, watch it. And then you will know who Homer Hickam is. And then, Trevor, you will know why that one tweet with the person who got the internship at NASA is so hilarious. Because it's so hilarious. It's like one of the best tweets of all time. And I can't
amazing.
repeat what that tweet said here, but
Bullet hole shooter.
it's a really good tweet. All right. Thank you to Kevin for operating today's stream. We love you, Kevin, even if you're wrong about Ship 26 not being an abomination. And of course, I'm Jack Byer. Who cares? I'm me. Hi. Hello. Goodbye.
No, you're
Bye.
awesome, man.
Thanks for watching
Thank you,
this
Russell.
week.
20 gifted memberships.
Oh,
Thanks,
holy
everybody.
cow. Russell Snodgrass coming out in force at the very end. Thank you, Russell. Chat, be sure you thank him. All right. That's it for the Flame Trench this week. Stay tuned. We'll keep you posted on Ship 26. Stay tuned to NASA Spaceflight on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Twixer.
It's not Twixer.
It's the
end the
face.
show. Can we end the show? Kevin,
No.
please end the show.
Post-show for Cap
The fun
Comment
never
above in
ends.
Discord.
Yes, and there is a post show. All right, bye.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Echo down to nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Say again, speed off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Thanks. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Someone just fart for real.
I heard someone ripping it. I did hear
Dude,
someone ripping
someone just ripped one.
it. Someone ripped it.
Someone, dude, we heard it.
Might need to change your pants after that one.
Yeah, dude, that was loud. What the heck?
No one's gonna own up?
No, yeah,
Unless
dude,
it was me unmuting when I was just coughing.
Coughing.